Naruto. I have 100-fold return system. Bind with Uchiha Sasuke at first. Chapter 81. You don't need to look, there's no one else here. And don't think about finding out my news, or delaying time to wait for rescue, because, when Gekko Yagyu comes, you will be dead. Orochimaru saw through Shikamaru's thoughts at a glance, and then summoned 2 giant snakes to kill Shikamaru and Choji. There was no telling how many of these 3 or 4 meter long snakes there were in the Raichi cave, and Orochimaru was not afraid of them being killed again. Shikamaru and Choji were attacked by the giant snakes and chose to flee in embarrassment. It's not that they wanted to escape, but they had no choice but to escape. They didn't have Sasuke's strength to kill a giant snake with one sword. If it was a single snake, they could try to cooperate to fight, but with 2 of these giant beasts, they could only run away first. As for counting on Sasuke to help them, Shikamaru turned his head and looked at Sasuke, and found that he was sweating profusely. It was obvious that this suddenly appeared Kusagaku ninja was extremely powerful. If they stayed here, it would only cause trouble for Sasuke. Instead of staying here, it would be better to escape and find Yagyu to help. Parker, Dinky and I will distract this, you 2 big snakes, go find Yagyu to help. Looking at the 2 fierce snakes behind him, Parker said with some worry, are you okay? Shikamaru didn't dare to guarantee it. These 2 big snakes were thick-skinned and had huge mouths. With his and Choji's attack power, they were definitely no match. But delaying for a while should not be a problem. No problem, Shikamaru said with a bit of bravado. Okay, hold on, I'll go find Yagyu to help you. Parker said as he quickly ran to the other side. The 2 snakes saw Parker running away and were about to send one snake to chase him, but Shikamaru actually threw 2 kunai detonating tags at them. The 2 kunai hit their eyes right in the middle, and the terrible explosion was released in their eyes, making the 2 snakes extremely angry. They didn't care about the escaping Parker and rushed towards Shikamaru and Choji like crazy. The speed and strength of the 2 irrational snakes were even better than their normal state, making the situation of Shikamaru and Choji even more dangerous. Back to Sasuke. After getting rid of a big snake, Sasuke set his sights on the big snake. On Shikamaru. Anyone who can summon such a summoned beast at will must be no small character. Sasuke expected Orochimaru to put some pressure on him before Gaara to relieve his lonely heart without an opponent. But he soon found his stupid idea ridiculous. This guy from Kusagaku village is not just a little bit powerful, but a little bit. He watched Orochimaru summon 2 giant snakes of almost the same size as the one he killed to attack Shikamaru and Choji. He was about to step forward to stop them but was frightened by Orochimaru's eyes. What kind of eyes was that? Cold, gloomy, mysterious, and dangerous. Sasuke didn't know what it felt like, he just knew that being stared at by those eyes made his whole body cold, and the gloom of death filled his mind. This guy is ridiculously strong. Stronger than Gaara. No, he might even be stronger than Gekko Yagyu. In the battles between Sasuke and Yagyu, Sasuke was always slaughtered unilaterally, and Yagyu did not have that kind of cold hostility when fighting Sasuke, so in Sasuke's opinion, Yagyu was stronger than himself, but only to a limited extent. Only 1 or 2 small levels. But Orochimaru gave him a different feeling, it was a kind of despair of an ant looking up at the sky. Who is this guy? Sasuke had cold sweat on his forehead, but he could hardly speak. The nervousness made him temporarily lose the ability to speak. Orochimaru looked at Shikamaru and Choji, the 2 ants, disappearing from his sight. A natural smile appeared at the corners of his mouth, and he looked at Sasuke. This time his eyes were no longer a warning, but an appreciative praise. I have to say, among all the Uchiha clan members I have met, your talent is also among the best. Your body is really pleasing to the eye. Orochimaru smiled sinisterly, causing Sasuke's anus to tighten. This guy wouldn't have any male-female relationship, right? Lightning release. Chidori's sharp spear. Sasuke took advantage of the opportunity to catch his breath and threw a lightning spear at Orochimaru at an extremely fast speed. Orochimaru seemed to be pierced by the spear without any reaction, but soon turned into a pool of mud and melted. Obviously, this direct attack could not hurt Orochimaru at all. His experience and reaction speed were better than Sasuke's. The nature of the lightning chakra changes. Interesting, how many more surprises can you bring me? Orochimaru licked his tongue and summoned a group of snakes to attack Sasuke. Facing the attack of the group of snakes, Sasuke did not dare to be careless and directly opened the Sharingan. While using the fire escape and lightning escape ninjutsu to attack, he also avoided the sneak attacks of some small snakes that took advantage of the gaps. Watching Sasuke's crazy outburst, Orochimaru watched with relish. He did not plant the curse seal on Sasuke at the first time. In addition to Sasuke still having the power to resist, he also wanted to see how Sasuke's Sharingan was developed. Even if Kabuto Yakushi did a good job of intelligence, many things could not be clearly found. Just like the fact that Gekko Yagyu also has a Sharingan, no one knows it except Sasuke. With such strength, if he is given a few more years, he may not be much worse than Uchiha Itachi. Orochimaru murmured in a low voice. Seeing Sasuke getting braver and braver, Orochimaru couldn't help but feel a little excited. The past when he was killed by Uchiha with a glance in the Akatsuki organization seemed to be vivid in his mind. As long as he gets Sasuke's body, it won't take long for him to face Uchiha Itachi directly, right? It just so happens that the time for the next body change is almost here. Looking at Sasuke's neck, Orochimaru licked his tongue subconsciously, opened his mouth to the sky, and spit out a long sword from his mouth. Kusanagi sword. Instant body. Orochimaru suddenly appeared in front of the group of snakes with extremely ghostly speed and method. Sasuke, who was fighting, stabbed with a sword from behind. Sasuke's reaction speed was not slow. He swung his sword to block the danger behind him as soon as he felt it. However, he underestimated the power of Orochimaru and was directly knocked away. A group of snakes flew towards his face. The fangs flashed with venom, as if they were close at hand. If he couldn't avoid it, he would be seriously injured. Sasuke gritted his teeth and quickly made a seal. Summoning technique. In the past few months, he had not been able to turn the eagle he chose into a powerful summoning beast. But fortunately, it could understand his words and could be summoned by him. It could barely be considered a summoning beast. A small puff of smoke dissipated, and Sasuke stretched out his hand to grab it. Sasuke, who was originally unable to support himself, was directly grabbed by the eagle and flew into the sky, while the group of venomous snakes pounced on nothing and ate a mouthful of mud. Orochimaru, who thought he had succeeded, didn't expect Sasuke to have this trick. He thought Sasuke would at most swing his sword to cut down a few snakes, or use fire escape and lightning escape to kill some of them. Unexpectedly, there was a trump card like a summoning beast. Although this summoned beast looks very ordinary, it has the ability to fly, which makes it a good trump card at critical moments. Orochimaru and Sasuke in the sky were facing each other from a distance. After the two looked at each other for a while, Sasuke flew away. Orochimaru watched Sasuke fly away, but did not chase him. It was not that he had no means to stop Sasuke in the air, but that would attract some unnecessary attention. He did not want to be exposed to the elite ninjas of Konoha too early. If he was besieged, even he would inevitably be injured, which might affect Konoha's collapse plan. Finding the next body is naturally one of the most important purposes of his action, but destroying Konoha, who once expelled him, and putting an end to Sarutobi Hiruzen are also very important goals. And this is not just his plan. Killing Sarutobi Hiruzen, helping Danzo take over Konoha, and then planning the leaderless Sand Village. A series of plans are much more important than Sasuke. If Danzo can take over Konoha, Sasuke will be nothing more than a pawn in his hand. You've been watching for so long, why don't you come out? Orochimaru's hoarse voice spread in the air, but no one responded to him in the silent woods, as if he was just talking to himself. Seeing this, Orochimaru disappeared from the spot in an instant and appeared on a tree 100 meters behind him. At this time, a young boy was already standing on the tree. Are you Gekko Yagyu? It's better to meet you in person than to hear about you. Even in my time, I have never seen such a genius like you. Orochimaru looked at Gekko Yagyu with interest and exclaimed. Gekko Yagyu also looked at Orochimaru's fake Kusagaker face. He also admired Orochimaru very much before he traveled through time. Whether it is strength, strategy, or scientific research ability, he is unparalleled. Except for the deceased second Hokage, Orochimaru can be said to be unmatched in the development of ninjutsu. This is not your original appearance, is it? Yagyu asked knowingly. Orochimaru had just tried to put pressure on Yagyu with the same method he used against Sasuke, but it was ineffective. This meant that Yagyu's strength had indeed reached the level of Kage. A young Kage, what a terrible talent. Orochimaru agreed with Yagyu, and said with a sinister smile, "Do you want to see my original appearance?" Yagyu looked at Orochimaru expressionlessly, as if he didn't want to waste words on such things. Orochimaru didn't like to keep people in suspense, so he directly tore off his human skin mask. A face that belonged to Orochimaru's original appearance appeared in front of Yagyu. "How is it? Are you disappointed?" Orochimaru looked at Yagyu, who was still silent, and said with a smile. "This isn't your face either," Yagyu said calmly. Orochimaru's expression changed slightly. He didn't expect Yagyu could see through his multiple layers of disguise. But that face was a surprise he prepared for Sarutobi Hiruzen, so he didn't intend to let Yagyu see it first. Yagyu didn't particularly want to see it, so he continued calmly, "But it doesn't matter, the purpose of your coming here is for Sasuke. To be more precise, it's for you and Sasuke." Orochimaru said calmly, "But with your and Sasuke's strength, it's not easy for me to take you down here." "It's a pity." Hehe, Yagyu sneered. He didn't expect that Orochimaru would consider him as a candidate for a body. But think about it. Since Orochimaru realized the limit of his body, he has become a weird uncle who likes to abduct geniuses. There is no reason for Orochimaru to ignore Yagyu's talent, which is stronger than Sasuke's. "Since this place doesn't work, why don't we go somewhere else?" Lu Sheng took the initiative to invite. "Oh," Orochimaru showed a look of surprise, and then he understood, and said with a sinister smile, "It is indeed enough to be proud of such strength at your age, but no one can go on smoothly. Your pride will make you pay the price today." Yagyu also sneered in response. "You were right, someone will pay the price for his pride today, but it will definitely not be me." Orochimaru laughed, did not answer, his body turned into mud and disappeared on the spot. They are all geniuses, isn't Orochimaru proud? Among the 3 ninjas of Konoha, Orochimaru has the highest talent. As a civilian ninja, he has created his own unique technique since he was a child. After adulthood, his strength is also outstanding among the Kage level. Although he has not learned the fairy technique after entering the Ryachi cave, he has also obtained the spiritual contract of the Ryachi cave. He built a village by himself, created the curse seal and the reincarnation of the corpse by himself. Who is not a genius, who doesn't have his own pride? But unlike ordinary geniuses, Orochimaru has experienced the destruction of reality and the loss of a genius who can't be defeated. He has one more thing than those so-called geniuses, that is awe. So even when facing a young genius like Yagyu, he will go all out and use all the despicable means to win. The 2 people left the Death Forest quietly with their own personal abilities. The invigilators surrounding the periphery did not find the traces of the 2. At this time, on the other side, Nara, Shikamaru and Choji were still being chased by the giant snake. Under the attack of 2 terrifying giant snakes, the 2 were in danger. Choji used meat and egg attacks many times, and now he is hungry. His stomach keeps growling. Snacks were confiscated, and I was going to fight this intense battle without eating. I was really starving to death. Shikamaru was helpless. He ran away while looking for some edible food for Choji. Who let the Akamichi clan's ninjutsu have such a flaw? Shikamaru, how about you use the shadow imitation technique to control them? I'll go find some food, and when I'm full I'll come and help you deal with them. Choji, who once again dodged the abyss, suggested. My shadow imitation technique can only control the 2 of them for less than a minute. Are you sure you can replenish your energy within a minute? Shikamaru's forehead was full of black lines, and with your ninjutsu, there is no way to break through the defense of the snakes. It's useless even if I control them. As early as when he was escaping, Shikamaru was testing the defense of the 2 snakes. But these 2 snakes seem to be made of steel. They eat stones when they meet stones and wood when they meet wood. Their teeth are like steel, and their bodies are also like steel. With his and Choji's abilities, there is no way to deal with them. Unless, Dinky, I have a way that may solve them, but it requires you to sacrifice a little. What can we do? Choji had a bad feeling. Although Shikamaru was usually very righteous, the word, sacrifice, always gave him a sense of danger. Let's not rush to talk about the solution. First, can you tell me whether your multiplication technique can still be used? How big can it be? Shikamaru thought for a while and said, it can probably make some parts of my body 10 times bigger. What's wrong with that? That should be enough. My idea is to let you be eaten by the snake, and then use the multiplication technique in its stomach to burst it. What do you think? Are you serious, Shikamaru? Choji looked at Shikamaru with suspicion. This big snake can even eat stones, so how can he be harder than stones? Of course, although this snake can eat even rocks, it doesn't really eat them. Look carefully at the location where we used the detonating tag just now. Choji looked into the eyes of the two snakes, which was exactly where they used the detonating tag to cover Parker's evacuation. Is there blood? Right, even if this snake has a big appetite, it can't keep eating so many stones and wood. Its eyes can be injured by the detonating talisman, so its internal organs must not be so hard. We can use the detonating talisman to try to blow open their mouths. If it works, we will implement the plan just now. I will use the shadow imitation technique to control them, and you take the opportunity to go in and get rid of them. But Shikamaru, why don't we just use the exploding talisman? How many detonating talismans did you bring? Forehead. Did not bring. I only brought 10 of them. I used 2 of them just now when I was covering Parker's retreat, and I used 4 of them when we were escaping. Now I only have 4 detonating talismans left. The power of the detonating talisman is at most to break wood and cause some damage to stones. But to kill such a big guy, I am afraid that at least 20 detonating talismans will be needed to detonate inside them at the same time. Seeing this, Dinky knew that this was indeed the last resort. If they continued to run, the 2 of them would not be able to hold on for a few minutes, so they might as well give it a try. Okay, I'll listen to you. Shikamaru. Choji nodded seriously, with a look of being ready to die. Shikamaru gave Choji a thumbs up and comforted him, you won't have to go too deep into the snake's body by then. If your attack doesn't work, you can still evacuate while I'm controlling them. Okay, after the 2 of them confirmed the plan. Shikamaru decisively stopped running, dodged the attack of a big snake by turning sideways, and then threw a detonating kunai into the mouth of another big snake that was about to attack. Bang! With an explosion, the big snake let out a painful wail. Blood dripped from the corner of its mouth. It worked. The defense inside the big snake was indeed not as strong as the defense on its skin. Shadow imitation technique. Shikamaru seized the moment when the 2 snakes were frozen and quickly used the shadow imitation technique to control them. Shikamaru, hurry up, now. I got it, Shikamaru. Choji jumped into the mouth of the exploded snake without stopping. His fat body did not affect his agility at all, and he completed this difficult action in a few steps. After jumping into the belly of the snake, Choji suddenly felt that his body touched something slippery, and some strange liquid began to corrode his clothes. It stinks. While complaining, Choji began to make hand seals. He did not intend to enter the snake's stomach and use the multiplication technique. As long as he destroyed the snake's neck and brain, this guy would surely die. Double transformation technique. Choji's arms quickly grew larger, and the snake's neck was also stretched larger and larger by Choji's hands. After a few seconds, the snake's neck burst because it could not bear such a large Choji. Good job, Choji, go and deal with the other guy. Shikamaru said excitedly when he saw that Choji's attack was effective. He could only hold on for less than 2 minutes to control 2 big snakes, but if it was just one, he could hold on for another minute. It took Choji less than 40 seconds to deal with the big snake just now, and now he still has time to deal with the other one. However, just when things are going in a good direction, accidents always happen. As we all know, the premise of Shikamaru's shadow imitation technique is the shadow. If there is no shadow, the ninjutsu will be ineffective. On the way that Choji rushed towards another big snake, a gust of wind blew, the clouds in the sky shifted, and the sunlight shone over and directly swallowed the big snake and Shikamaru's shadow. The shadow is gone. Shikamaru didn't expect that there would be unexpected events. Seeing that Choji was still running towards the big snake, he was immediately shocked. Shikamaru, run! Ha! Choji paused, turned his head and looked at Shikamaru, but he didn't realize that the snake had been released from control and was biting towards him with its bloody mouth. Choji, Shikamaru roared at the top of his lungs and rushed towards Choji. At this moment, he did not consider that it would be useless even if he rushed in front of Choji, and it would only give the snake one more head. But he still rushed forward without hesitation. Seeing that the snake was getting closer and closer to Choji, he was about to die in the snake's mouth. Rasengan. A girl descended from the sky and used a ninjutsu that came from the sky to pierce the snake's head. Gulu. Choji, who had reacted, looked at the snake's teeth that were only a few centimeters away from him and swallowed his saliva subconsciously. If the girl had been a little slower by half a second, he might have died in the snake's mouth. Choji, Shikamaru, are you okay? Sakura, Ino. Shikamaru and Choji never expected that the one who saved them would be Sakura, a seemingly weak girl. Yagayu went to help Sasuke. Let us rescue you first. Puck jumped out from somewhere and said. Shikamaru nodded. He was just about to ask where Yagayu went, and now that he knew Yagayu went to help Sasuke, he was relieved. Although the guy from Kusagakur village was scary, Sasuke and Yagayu together, that guy would never be a match. Sakura, when did you become so powerful? What kind of ninjutsu is this? You actually pierced the head of this snake. Just now, this snake could easily smash even stones and wood. This is the Rasengan, a ninjutsu that Yagayu-kun taught me. Sakura explained. Rasengan, so powerful, Yagayu actually knows such a powerful ninjutsu, how strong is he? Shikamaru couldn't imagine the upper limit of Yagayu's strength. You two shouldn't be hurt, right? Ino asked her two younger brothers with concern. Although she was usually very fierce to the two of them, she also really regarded them as her companions. So she really didn't want the two companions to get into trouble. We are fine, thank you, Ino. I'm just a little hungry. Eat, 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 you only know how to eat. If you practice harder, you won't be unable to beat such a small snake. Ino, who was concerned about the two of them, immediately got angry when she heard what Choji said. Small snakes. Ino, these two big guys are at least 4 meters long, how can they be small? Stop talking nonsense. Just eat. What's the point of eating so much? You sound like you can beat him, whispering. What did you say? Without. Nothing. The streets of Konoha. Brother Naruto, I got this month's pocket money, come on, I'll treat you to ramen. Really? That's great. I didn't teach you ninjutsu in vain. Naruto put his hands on his hips and laughed loudly, praising Konohamaru loudly. Brother Naruto, do you know what Brother Yagayu and the others are doing? I haven't seen him for several days. Meng Huang asked curiously. They haven't seen Yagayu for 5 days since they parted at the park. Although Yagayu ignored them, Meng Huang still liked Yagayu very much. Yagayu and the others, they went to take part in the Chunin exam, so I haven't seen them in the past 2 days. Naruto said. Chunin exam. Are Brother Yagayu and the others going to become Chunin? So amazing. Meng Huang showed an admiring expression, and Udon sniffed. Humph, he's just a Chunin, what's so great about him? My teachers are all top Jonin. Konohamaru, who had a problem with Yagayu, said unhappily. Huh, what is that? Meng Huang pointed at 2 blurry shadows in the distance and said. The three turned their heads and saw 2 figures that looked like human figures moving quickly towards the back of the mountain. However, the speed of the 2 figures was too fast, so they could not see the specific appearance of the 2 figures. It seems like 2 ninjas, they run so fast. Meng Huang was surprised. In just a few flashes, the 2 figures disappeared in front of them. This aroused the great curiosity of Konohamaru and the other 2. Let's go take a look. Konohamaru said. Hey, aren't we going to eat ramen? Looking at Konohamaru and the other 2 hurriedly running away, Naruto complained a little, but still followed them. It was unknown whether the 2 ninjas were from Konoha. If they were from other countries, Konohamaru and the others would be in danger. A secluded training ground in the back mountain, covered with weeds and damaged wooden stakes, it looked like it had not been used for a long time. Did you choose this remote place because you can use large-scale ninjutsu at will? Yagayu looked at this place with interest, and Orochimaru smiled slightly, without commenting. But it's not just that. If that's all, you'd underestimate me, Yagayu-kun. Orochimaru said as he formed seals with both hands in seconds. A large formation surrounded this place. In fact, I have already set up a trap here. I thought there was no chance to use it. I didn't expect you to be so stupid as to follow me here. The purple formation surrounded the land within a radius of 300 meters, just covering the entire abandoned training ground. Yagyu looked at the huge formation thoughtfully. The next moment, he casually summoned a fire escape to attack it. The fireball, which was as powerful as AB-level ninjutsu, hit the formation, but it didn't cause any movement. With such defense, perhaps only A-level ninjutsu can break it, and S-level ninjutsu has a chance to destroy it. However, it is not an easy task to destroy the formation while fighting with Orochimaru. Don't waste your energy, Yagyu-kun. Even if the third generation comes, you can't escape from here. Orochimaru said with a sinister smile, as if Yagyu was already in his hands. Facing this cage, Yagyu was not panicked. He also looked at Orochimaru with interest. I'm thinking about a question. What's the question? Since you are so cooperative, I can answer you before you die. Yagyu laughed. He did not believe Orochimaru's nonsense. Orochimaru said as if he was sure of victory and was going to answer his question, but secretly he was quickly making hand seals to prepare for some ninjutsu. Yagyu could not hide all this. However, he did not expose Orochimaru. He asked like a naive genin. Since you regard me as one of your target candidates, why don't you come to me first, but go to Sasuke first? Is it because Sasuke is more important to you, or are you worried about something? I don't think you are lost, are you? Orochimaru didn't expect Yagyu to ask such a question at this time. He subconsciously thought that Yagyu was pretending to be calm and stalling for time. After all, he was facing a strong man of the same level and fell into a trap. It was good enough for a young genius like Gekko Yagyu to not panic and face it calmly. He did not expose Yagyu, like he exposed Shikamaru, but answered seriously, it's not that Sasuke is more important but because you are more dangerous. Oh, it seems that you know me very well. Orochimaru stared at Yagyu with a dangerous look in his eyes. Yagyu's words seemed to be insignificant, but they revealed a new question to Orochimaru. Why do you know me so well? Why do you only know us? Who provided you with the information? I remember that in order to infiltrate several people, Kabuto Yakushi seemed to use the identity of an intelligence officer. Has Kabuto Yakushi been exposed? Orochimaru secretly speculated in his heart, thinking about dropping Kabuto Yakushi back after planting the curse seal on Yagyu's neck. As for the reaction and effect of Gekko Yagyu after the curse seal was planted, let the other two not so important guys try it out. Ninjutsu. 10,000 Snakes Formation. Orochimaru finished the ninjutsu he had been preparing and slapped the ground with one hand. The next moment, a purple-black curse seal appeared on the ground, and countless snakes of different sizes appeared out of thin air. Countless snakes suddenly emerged from Yagyu's feet, under his feet, and above him. Flame Escape. Susanoo. Faced with this 360-degree attack with no blind spots, Yagyu can only use the same ninjutsu to resist. Unfortunately, Yagyu mastered this ninjutsu. The flame giant appeared out of thin air and wrapped Yagyu. Although it did not have a strong defense, ordinary snakes would be burned to death immediately after touching the body of the flame giant. This also made it difficult for Orochimaru's snake formation to invade temporarily. However, under the continuous and fearless attacks of the group of snakes, it was only a matter of time before the flame giant was extinguished. Seeing this, Yagyu was no longer passive. He pulled with both hands, and a flaming long sword appeared out of thin air in the hands of the flame giant. Uchiha style. Hikari dance. The cold voice was not loud, but Orochimaru could clearly see it. A 10-meter-high spiral flame slash spread out from Yagyu as the center. Tens of thousands of snakes were burned into cooked food by the flames, emitting an alluring aroma. Mangekyo Sharingan. Orochimaru looked at Yagyu's moves with a look of shock on his face. Yagyu's fire style. Susanoo was very similar to the Uchiha clan's Mangekyo Sharingan technique, Susanoo. However, Orochimaru looked closely at Yagyu's eyes and found that there was no Sharingan there, which meant that this was just a fake ninjutsu. Interesting, is this a ninjutsu developed by imitating the Uchiha clan's Susanoo? Although the defense is not very good, the power is indeed amazing. The power of Gekko Yagyu's fire style. Susanoo is as powerful as S level, and it is sustainable. In this way, Orochimaru's 10,000 snakes formation will hardly pose a threat to Yagyu, unless he uses those fearless little snakes to compete with Yagyu in chakra consumption. In addition to the defect of insufficient defense, the huge chakra consumption of Gecko Yagyu's fake Susanoo is also a huge defect. If there is not enough chakra, Yagyu can drain himself in a few minutes. Thinking of this, Orochimaru bit his finger. Blood overflowed from the fingertips, and he quickly formed seals and clapped his hands on the ground. Bang! Summoning technique. 10,000 snakes. A burst of smoke enveloped most of the training ground, and the huge snake shadow was looming in the fog. Orochimaru, you seem to have provoked a formidable fellow this time. The huge purple snake head stared at Yagyu's huge flame Susanoo, with a solemn expression on his face. A good experimental subject. Help me capture him, and I will provide you with blood food for 500 people. Orochimaru said with a cold smile. 1,000 people. This guy is not easy to deal with. Wan Shi bargained. Good. Faced with the greed of the 10,000 snakes, Orochimaru had no choice. He did not have enough strength to suppress the 10,000 snakes, so he could not get the other party's recognition. He could sign a contract with the 10,000 snakes entirely because he could provide value to the 10,000 snakes. This is also the reason why he has to trade with the 10,000 snakes every time he summons the 10,000 snakes. He and his strongest summoned beast are just a cooperative relationship. After getting the conditions he wanted, the 10,000 snakes immediately launched an attack on Yagyu. Yagyu also knew that the 10,000 snakes were not easy to mess with, so he immediately controlled the fire escape Susanoo and used a flame sword against the 10,000 snakes. The attack and defense of the 10,000 snakes are not comparable to those of ordinary snakes. If the 10,000 snakes get close to him, his fake Susanoo may be destroyed by one blow. The flame sword slashed on the 10,000 snakes, and the temperature of the flame made the 10,000 snakes grin in pain, but such an attack was not enough to destroy its outer skin defense. So it carried the flames and hit Yagyu with a snake head. Yagyu did not dare to confront it head-on, so he could only choose to dodge. This is the first time Yagyu has encountered an opponent that is difficult to fight head-on. This 10,000 snakes, very strong. HMPH, kid, as all you can do is run. Manshi tried to provoke Yagyu, but Yagyu obviously didn't buy it. He jumped to avoid Manshi's tail attack, and then cancelled the fire-style Susanoo. This ninjutsu can only be used to deal with some not-so-strong group fights. Facing Manshi, whose defense can withstand S-level ninjutsu, it is difficult to be effective. Continuing to maintain this state will only increase his chakra consumption and delay his actions. Seeing Yagyu cancel the fire-style Susanoo, Orochimaru smiled triumphantly. Is your chakra not enough? If you are willing to follow me, I can spare your life, how about it? Orochimaru's subordinates are basically his physical backups, and he said this to gain Yagyu's following without using force. After all, it is too rare for a young boy to fight against Manjusri with only a slight disadvantage. He is afraid that Manjusri will kill Yagyu without any care. Yagyu ignored Orochimaru's words and threw a few Chidori sharp spears at Manjusri. But the penetrating power of the Chidori sharp spears is still not enough to break Manjusri's defense. Konoha-style swordsmanship, Uchiha-style swordsmanship, fire escape, wind escape, lightning escape. Among the many skills that Yagyu has mastered, the one with the strongest attack power is still lightning release. If the fire release Susanoo doesn't work, then we can only try the lightning release ninjutsu. So Yagyu released the ninjutsu without a seal again. Lightning release. Thunder God is coming. Under the shocked eyes of Orochimaru, a giant with a single blade armor with a lightning attribute similar to Susanoo appeared in front of him. He still has chakra. Orochimaru couldn't figure it out. How could such a young boy have such a large amount of chakra? Using ninjutsu with S-level power, or an imperfect pseudo S-level ninjutsu that consumes a huge amount of chakra, even an elite jonin would be drained, but Yagyu actually still has the spare energy to perform the same ninjutsu. The most terrifying thing is that this is a ninjutsu of another attribute with the same principle. Is he from the Uzumaki clan? Looking at Yagyu's long black hair, Orochimaru ruled out this answer. Gecko Yagyu has a very bright background in Konoha. Gecko Yagyu's parents are both members of the small family of Konoha, the Gecko clan. Gecko Yagyu himself does not have any blood talent. Does he have this level of chakra because of his talent? Could it be that Gecko Yagyu's ancestors were from the Uzumaki clan? But if it was a throwback, why didn't he inherit the long red hair? The blood of the Uzumaki clan should be stronger than the blood of a small clan like the Gecko clan. Unless Yagyu inherited the blood of another family that also has a huge amount of chakra, which clan is it? Orochimaru became more curious about Yagyu, and he was eager to tie Yagyu up and slice him up bit by bit for experiments. Secret technique. Thunder. Moon shadow. Yagyu controlled the huge lightning giant and disappeared in a flash. When he appeared, he was already behind Wanshi. Time seemed to stand still, but suddenly, Wanshi's chest scales were broken, and a trace of blood flowed out of the wound. This lightning strike actually broke Wanshi's defense. The injured Wanshi was completely furious and entered a rampage state. Turning around, it bit Yagyu, and its swift speed was not at all like a creature of its size. But Wanshi is fast, Yagyu is even faster. The power of thunder attribute not only gives Yagyu a stronger attack power, but also speed. What's more, Yagyu's own speed has long surpassed the average shadow level. It is difficult for Wanshi to swallow him into his stomach with such a huge body. However, Yagyu can use the advantage of his small body to continuously attack Wanshi's body. By reducing the size of the thunder release Susanoo and increasing its agility, Yagyu continued to attack Wanshi's body. The thunder sword kept leaving marks on the body of the 10,000 snakes, and the scales were cut off one by one. The blood soon stained most of the 10,000 snakes' body. The huge purple body of the 10,000 snakes was now half yellow and half red, which made it even more charming. Orochimaru, who was standing on the head of the 10,000 snakes, didn't expect that things would turn out like this. Moonlight Yagyu could actually suppress the 10,000 snakes. Doesn't this mean that Yagyu's strength is even better than his own? Orochimaru can't defeat the 10,000 snakes one-on-one unless he uses the Impure World Reincarnation. But the Impure World Reincarnation is not entirely his own strength. Even if he uses this technique to defeat the 10,000 snakes, the 10,000 snakes will not recognize him. This is also the reason why Orochimaru is unwilling to fight the 10,000 snakes after getting the new power. The 10,000 snakes have a cold personality and hold grudges. Using the Impure World Reincarnation may be able to defeat the 10,000 snakes, but it will make the 10,000 snakes dissatisfied. If they maintain a cooperative relationship, they can get along well. Seeing that Mandora was getting more and more seriously injured, Orochimaru had begun to consider whether to use the Impure World Reincarnation to help Mandora deal with Yagyu. Now Mandora has only one possibility to defeat Yagyu, that is, Gecko Yagyu's chakra is completely consumed. A ninja with chakra and a ninja without chakra are completely different, and this is currently Mandora's only chance of winning. Just as he was thinking about Yagyu, he suddenly stopped his high-frequency attack. The thunder and lightning that originally resounded through the training ground all dissipated, and Yagyu himself was a little out of breath. His chakra is exhausted. When Orochimaru saw Gecko Yagyu, who seemed to be exhausted, the corners of his mouth finally revealed a triumphant smile. To be honest, I am really surprised that your fighting ability can reach this level. I would never be able to do this if I were you. But it's over. Orochimaru didn't intend to give Gecko Yagyu a chance to rest. He stretched out his neck and bit Gecko Yagyu. The strangeness of the action and the speed were shocking. However, facing this situation, Yagyu remained calm. I'm sorry to disappoint you, I don't want to be bitten by a guy like you. Yagyu said and suddenly turned into a puff of smoke and disappeared. The sudden change made Orochimaru stunned in midair. His always cold eyes were only stunned at this time. Substitution technique. No, that's not right, his breath disappeared. Space ninjutsu. It doesn't seem like. After a long while, he murmured in his hoarse voice, Shadow Clone. Ha 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 ha. After fighting for quite some time, I realized that I was fighting against the Shadow Clone. Orochimaru, although you have changed your body, your strength has not improved. Now you can't even beat a junior, it's really laughable. But this brat was really ruthless, he almost skinned me. I'm going back first, don't forget my blood food. One less person, don't even think about summoning me to help you next time. After saying this, Manshi also disappeared from the spot, leaving Orochimaru twisting his neck and standing sluggishly in the air. He didn't care about Manshi's ridicule. Manshi's character was like this, recognizing the strong and mocking the weak. He was defeated by a young boy's shadow clone. There is nothing more ridiculous than this. Moonlight Yagyu. Very good. Oshimaru returned to his normal body, staring coldly at the place where Moonlight Yagyu disappeared. The next moment, Orochimaru disappeared from the spot and appeared in a corner of the training ground. Hehe, you've been hiding for so long, it's time to come out, right? As soon as Orochimaru finished speaking, a ninja wearing an animal mask from the Anbu jumped out from the ground and slashed at Orochimaru with a sword, but Orochimaru dodged it easily. Hidden Shadow Snake Hand. Orochimaru flew out countless small snakes from his hand and devoured the Anbu's hand step by step. Ah, Orochimaru, why are you, a traitor, appearing in Konoha? Hehe, go ask in hell. Orochimaru, who was in a bad mood, had no intention of talking to this Anbu, and dealt with him efficiently and effectively. Such an insignificant little mouse was not worth his time to tease. He didn't know that this Anbu was originally responsible for monitoring Naruto, but he just happened to follow Orochimaru and Yagyu with Moeka's finger and followed. But when he found out that he was following Orochimaru and wanted to evacuate, it was too late. If Orochimaru had known that someone was following him, he would have used a formation to lock him and Gekko Yagyu in. He thought he hadn't been discovered and hid. He stood up, waiting for Orochimaru to deal with Gekko Yagyu so that he could escape. But he didn't expect Gekko Yagyu to be so good at fighting. Even Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas of Konoha, was no match for him. If this Gekko Yagyu wasn't a shadow clone, Orochimaru might have been defeated. Before he died, this Anbu Jonin had only one thought: why didn't Gekko Yagyu's real body come? Otherwise, I wouldn't have to die. Orochimaru looked at the Anbu ninja who was bitten to death by a poisonous snake, sneered, let the snake devour the rest of his body, removed the formation, turned into mud and disappeared in this destroyed training ground. The purple thing disappeared. Is that a formation? Using a formation in a place like this, is it a practice? I don't know. Could it be that they are withdrawing the formation because the exercise is over? Ah, wouldn't that mean I'd miss the chance to meet a powerful ninja? Konohamaru, slow down, wait for us. Konohamaru and the others who had followed all the way from Konoha have just caught up. But by the time they arrived at the abandoned training ground, the battle here had already ended. But judging from the traces of the battle here, an extremely horrific battle must have taken place here. What on earth happened here? Naruto showed a rare expression of shock. There were huge pits, countless rubble and twisted trees. There were flames burning, lightning crackling, and a bunch of snake corpses that died here for unknown reasons. There are so many snakes, so disgusting. Mang Huang looked at the densely packed snakes and said with some disgust. I think it smells pretty good. Udon sniffed. It looks like a terrible battle has taken place here. Are they the 2 people just now? They are so powerful, it's really scary. I wonder who won in the end. Konohamaru murmured. Naruto, should we tell Konohamaru's grandfather about what happened here? It seems like something extraordinary has happened here. Naruto was a bit embarrassed. He didn't know whether he should tell the old man of the 3rd generation. If only Konoha ninjas were training here, wouldn't it be embarrassing for them? Of course, he didn't really believe that there were 2 ordinary Konoha ninjas training here. Such power and movement were completely beyond his understanding of power. After months of training, he could easily cut down trees, but it would take at least a week, or even a month to destroy a training ground like this. But those 2 people only took less than an hour. Don't tell Grandpa. When Naruto was in trouble, Konohamaru made a decision: we have to find out the truth ourselves and then tell Grandpa. Ninja mission, Konohamaru said in a very childish way. But wouldn't this be dangerous? Those 2 people seem very powerful. Mang Huang said with some worry. I feel so too. Just as Naruto was about to say something, Konohamaru suddenly interrupted him. Don't we still have Brother Naruto? Brother Naruto can even beat real ninjas, so he can definitely protect us. Right, Brother Naruto. Right. Ha 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 ha. Don't worry, I will definitely protect you. Naruto lost himself immediately after being praised by Konohamaru. Moeka was still a little worried, but Konohamaru's next words made it impossible for Naruto to stand on her side anymore. To do a mission, we have to form a ninja team. Usually, the three of us carry out missions together. I am the best, so we call it the Konohamaru team. Now Naruto has joined us, so I decided to let him be our guiding Jonin. Please let Naruto Jonin take us on the mission. Naruto Jonin, he's not even a ninja. Naruto blushed and completely lost himself. Then I won't be polite. In the Death Forest, the real body of Moonlight Yagyu has never left here. What followed Orochimaru was just one of his shadow clones. As the king of Go, even if Yagyu has reached the level of Kage, he will never be so arrogant when facing a strong man of the same level. Follow Orochimaru to fight. Yagyu is not that stupid. The reason why he wants to fight with Orochimaru is just to verify his own strength. Although he has had the strength of Kage for a long time, Yagyu himself has no idea to what extent he has reached and what his real combat power is. Now that Orochimaru has come to the door, Yagyu wants to practice with Orochimaru. If he really wants to kill Orochimaru, he should open the Sharingan directly. Although his Sharingan only has 2 Magatama, his power is not worse than the Mangekyo. Using illusions will not be much worse than the Mangekyo. Moreover, Orochimaru, who has used the reincarnation of the Corpusculus, has an extremely weak soul, and illusions are his absolute nemesis. If he uses the Sharingan and launches a surprise attack, Yagyu has an 80% chance of getting rid of Orochimaru within a few seconds. The shadow clone has 1/10 of my original chakra and strength. If Orochimaru does not summon the 10,000 snakes or the impure world reincarnation, its strength should be higher than that of my original body. If I summon the 10,000 snakes or use the power of the impure world reincarnation, my shadow clone will not be a match for Orochimaru. If it's a sneak attack, using the Sharingan's restraining effect, my real body has a 90% chance of winning against Orochimaru. If it's a head-on battle, and the opponent knows that I have the Sharingan, then the chance of winning should be 70% or 80%. If it's an all-out battle, with Orochimaru using impure world reincarnation and Mank, and me not using the Sharingan, then the chance of winning should only be 60% to 70%. Yagyu analyzed his own combat power through the battle between his shadow clone and Orochimaru, and concluded that his overall combat power is definitely above Orochimaru, and he is much stronger than Orochimaru in both strength and speed. But Orochimaru's means and insidiousness also give him a certain chance of killing Yagyu. Of course, this is based on the premise that Yagyu is careless. Help. After analyzing the situation, Yagyu was about to leave the Forest of Death to find Sasuke and the others, but suddenly heard a girl scream nearby. The voice. Lu Sheng felt that it sounded familiar, as if he had heard it not long ago. It was a familiar yet strange sound. Is this the candidate who entered the Forest of Death not long ago? Trap. Or, Yagyu never liked to meddle in other people's business, but up to now they had not collected the Heaven and Earth scroll required to pass the exam. It was not easy to meet other candidates, so he naturally did not want to miss it. He also hoped that the cry for help was a trap, not a damsel in distress, so that he could be sure that the other party had a scroll. After passing through several jungles, Yagyu saw a red-haired girl shivering on a tree. Under the tree was a huge blind bear that was constantly hitting the tree. Every time the blind bear hit the trunk, the girl on the tree would scream. Karen. Yagyu didn't expect that he would encounter a plot where a hero saves a beautiful girl. In the original work, it seems that it was Sasuke who saved Karen. Now Sasuke seems to have deviated from this place because of his appearance, so there is no hero saving the beauty. Yagyu stayed where he was, and used the perception ninjutsu to sense the surroundings. After not finding any ambush, he walked out with a disappointed look on his face. It turned out that it was not a trap. He came to Big Bear in an instant and kicked it unconscious. It happened that the wild boars before might not be enough to eat, so he took this Big Bear back for a snack. Yagyu thought about carrying the knocked-out Big Bear on his back, and then looked at Karen on the tree. Karen also looked at Yagyu, and the two looked at each other in the air for a few seconds. After a while, Karen's face turned red. So handsome. Ahem, although I really don't want to ask you at this time, I still want to ask, do you have a scroll on you? The hero saving the beauty turned into a robbery, even Lu Sheng felt a little embarrassed. Scroll. Karen was stunned for a moment, then she thought of the scroll for passing this exam, but she was just a nurse in the Kusagaku team and had no status at all, so naturally she would not carry a scroll. I'm sorry, I don't have the scroll, Karen said with some guilt. Although Yagyu was taking advantage of her, Yagyu saved her life after all. The kind-hearted Karen knew how to repay a favor. If she had the scroll, she would definitely give it to Yagyu. So that's it. You got separated from your teammates, right? Can you take me to see your teammates? Although Karen hated her teammates, she didn't want to betray them. But Yagyu was her savior, and this savior was so handsome and so powerful. Heartbeat. Seeing that Karen was in trouble, Yagyu said, "Your name is Karen, right? I know you are not having a good time in Kusagaku village. Why don't you follow me in the future?" As a descendant of the Uzumaki clan, Karen possesses almost all of the advantages of the Uzumaki clan, including treatment, self-healing, sealing techniques, and super perception. Karen is an excellent tool for anyone. Yagyu also wants to keep Karen by her side. A super nurse with a decorative eye, who can also control. Having Karen by your side means having a few more lives. Who wouldn't want it? Karen didn't expect Yagyu to invite her to follow her so directly, and what surprised her even more was that Yagyu knew about her. Has he been paying attention to me? Has he been to Kusagaku village? Karen began to think wildly, but she made a decision quickly. She wants to follow Gecko Yagyu. Although Yagyu's promise was just one sentence, Karen's intuition told her that Yagyu did not deceive her. She can believe all the words of the boy in front of her who she has only met a few times. Because he is really handsome. The girl's first move made Karen willing to give everything for the boy in front of her, even her life. This is love brain. Okay, I do. Karen nodded in agreement, and then tried to climb down from the tree carefully. She looked so funny, as if she had never learned ninjutsu. This made Yagyu laugh and cry. Was the Kusagaku village afraid that Karen would learn ninjutsu and run away? They didn't even teach Karen the basics. On the one hand, they wanted Karen to be a ninja, but on the other hand, they didn't teach Karen ninjutsu. They really didn't treat Karen as a human being at all. Although Yagyu himself also wanted Karen's assistance, he would not restrict Karen's freedom and growth. Moreover, the Kusagaku village was really small-minded. They got 2 members of the Uzumaki clan, but they just let them be wet nurses. If Yagyu were the shadow of the Kusagaku village, he would either treat the 2 people as his own people, let them integrate into the Kusagaku village, and have children for the future of the Kusagaku village, or imprison them as reproductive tools. He had such a good bloodline, but he didn't know how to use it correctly, and he sucked one of them to death. It's also quite speechless. Yagyu led Karen to the place where she and her companions were scattered. Although Karen didn't know much about the use of chakra at this time, and didn't master any ninjutsu, the Uzumaki clan's innate skill, Kagura's hard eye, had awakened. Kagura's hard eye can allow Karen to sense the chakra changes within a radius of dozens of miles. Within a radius of dozens of miles, Karen can clearly sense the number of people, detailed locations, movements, movement speeds, and even the characteristics of people. In addition to exploration, Kagura's hard eye has 2 other special abilities. One is to hide the breath so that other sensing ninjas cannot obtain her location through chakra. The other is to determine whether the other party is lying by sensing the chakra. It is precisely because of this ability that she is willing to believe Yagyu. Although she is a love-brained person, she is not an idiot who can be easily deceived. With Karen leading the way, Yagyu and his companions quickly found their companions in the hidden grass village. They were 2 young men, one of whom looked to be in his early 20s, thin, wearing a gray-white short coat, and a forehead protector from the hidden grass village on his forehead. The other one looked younger, as if he had just reached adulthood, was relatively fat, and wore relatively luxurious clothes, with a forehead protector hanging around his neck. At this time, both of them were injured by the attack, with various wounds of varying sizes on their bodies, and were resting under a big tree. When Yagyu and the others came closer, the 2 were still insulting Karen. That stinky girl Karen was actually scared away. Don't let anyone find her, or she'll be in trouble, the plump-looking Kusagaku ninja said viciously. The skinny ninja didn't say anything, but his eyes were fierce, and it was obvious that he was not a good person either. It seems that your position among your companions is worse than I thought. Yagyu said jokingly. Karen lowered her head silently, as if she was thinking of many bad memories. Seeing that Karen didn't speak, Yagyu knew that he had touched her pain point. Anyone who has lived with his mother since childhood and witnessed his mother die in white cloth to protect himself would find it difficult to happily joke about his first half of his life. But perhaps it was because of the same experience for 10 years that Karen got used to it. When she thought of those sad things, she didn't cry, but her expression was a little gloomy. This young girl is much stronger than Yagyu imagined. He subconsciously pinched her chin, lifted her head slightly, looked directly into her eyes, and said, "Don't worry, I won't let you suffer this kind of grievance again if you follow me in the future. You don't have to worry about revenge from the people of Kusagakur village. As long as I am here, no one can bully you. Do you understand?" Karen was only 10 centimeters away from Yagyu's cheek at this time. She could clearly feel Yagyu's breath on her cheek. This ambiguous distance made Karen's cheeks red. Her eyes glanced around uncontrollably, trying to relieve her shyness in this way. Yagyu let go of Karen and turned to walk towards the 2 Kusagakur ninjas. What are you doing? Fire style. 2 weak genin, Yagyu killed them with 1 sword. Heads rolled down. Blood dyed the tree trunks red. Yagyu coldly found the scroll of passing the test from their bodies. It was the scroll of earth. As long as they get back the scroll of sky that was placed on Shikamaru, they can pass the test. But he promised Ino that he would help her pass the test, so just 1 scroll is definitely not enough. He threw the scroll to Karen and said, "Let's go and find my companions." "Oh, okay." Karen felt a little flattered. Yagyu-kun actually entrusted such an important thing to me for safekeeping. He trusted me so much. Is this what it feels like to be a companion? Looking at Yagyu's back, Karen's eyes were full of joy. She didn't follow the wrong person. After rescuing Shikamaru, Sakura and the others chose a place not too far away to rest and wait for Yagyu to come back. But half an hour later, they did not wait for Yagyu to come back, but for Sasuke, who was fighting with Orochimaru. Sasuke. Several people were delighted when they saw Sasuke falling from the sky. "Why are you alone here? Where is Yagyu-kun? Gekko Yagyu?" Sasuke frowned and asked with a little doubt, "I didn't see him. I fought with that guy from Kusagakur village, but I felt I was no match for him, so I left first." "Why are you asking me about Gekko Yagyu? But Yagyu-kun said he would come to help you. If you left, wouldn't he be fighting that guy from Kusagakur alone now?" Sakura was a little anxious. Shikamaru said that the guy from Kusagakur was very strong. Now even Sasuke is no match for him, so isn't Yagyu-kun in danger? "You stay here, I'll go back and look for him." "We will go with you." Shikamaru pulled Ino and said, "Let's not go. Except for Sasuke, there are. Maybe there's Sakura too. No one can look that guy in the face. If we go over there, we'll just cause trouble for them." But Ino's face flushed with anxiety. This was the first time she felt annoyed by her own lack of strength. "Okay, Ino, Sasuke and I will go and we will definitely bring Yagyu back safely," Sakura said as she was about to jump onto Sasuke's summoning beast, but who knew that the eagle that Sasuke was sitting on took off directly, leaving Sakura with nothing to step on. "Hey, Sasuke, what do you mean? That guy is much stronger than you think. If you go, you will just cause trouble. I can go by myself," Sasuke said coldly, and flew away on the eagle. Sakura on the ground was furious. "Sasuke, he didn't even take me with him to find Yagyu, and he looked down on my strength. You guy, sooner or later, I will surpass you." At this time, Ino patted Sakura's shoulder earnestly and comforted her. "It's okay, Sakura, it's not your fault that you are not strong enough, at least we are with you, right?" Quote. "I thought I had surpassed Ino and the others by a lot, but I didn't expect that I would still be left behind by Sasuke and Yagyu at this time. I'm not strong enough." Sakura secretly clenched her fists and vowed to work hard to become stronger next time. Sasuke was alone in the sky of the Death Forest, searching for Yagyu's trace. In order to find Yagyu more easily, he did not hide his body deliberately, and even asked the summoned beast to lower its altitude in order to find Yagyu better. But if he did so, he himself would become dangerous. Because at this time, Sasuke was like a light bulb in the dark night, and he could attract the attention of other candidates from a long distance. Such behavior increased the possibility of him being targeted. Wind style. Fierce wind. Sasuke was flying on the eagle when suddenly a strong wind blew and he couldn't help but cover his eyes with his hands. Before he could see what was happening, another fireball flew behind him. Sasuke felt the burning sensation on his back, activated his Sharingan, turned around and slashed the fireball with his sword. No wonder he dared to show off alone. It turns out that he is really powerful. A shirtless muscular man jumped from below to the top of a tree and looked at Sasuke from a distance, with a sneer on his face. There was a Sand Village forehead protector on his forehead, and it was obvious that the other party was a ninja from the Sand Village. Wind escape. Fierce dance of the falcon. Sasuke was just thinking about how to deal with this man who dared to appear in front of him, when he heard the sound of sneak attack again from behind. This made Sasuke, who was already very impatient, even more impatient. He jumped high, dodged the wind escape attack from behind, and created two shadow clones in midair. Konoha-style swordsmanship. Dance of the Three Moons. The three Sasukes disappeared on the spot with the help of the sun's rays, and suddenly appeared in front of, behind, and beside the man who was sneaking behind him. The three swords pierced the opponent's three vital points at the same time. No. The wind-style ninja from the Sand Village didn't expect Sasuke to be so fast. He wanted to say something, but in the end he only spat out a mouthful of blood foam. The muscular man didn't expect that his companion would be killed so easily. He turned around and ran away in grief and anger. Seeing this, Sasuke didn't plan to chase him. His purpose was not other candidates, but to find Gecko Yagyu. So he took back his two shadow clones, jumped back on the eagle without even looking at the dead Sand Village ninja, and continued to search. However, the road ahead was not peaceful. He was attacked along the way, but this group of people was much weaker than the two Sand Village ninjas. He was easily solved by him, and the other party didn't even have a chance to escape. In addition, he met Gaara. Gaara also attacked him, but even if he wanted to fight with Gaara, considering that Yagyu hadn't been found yet, he could only evacuate with regret. It has to be said that Gaara is really powerful. Other ninjas were killed in one move when they met Sasuke. Only Gaara could fight Sasuke for 3 moves and forced Sasuke to leave first. Looking at Sasuke going away, Kankuro sneered, "This guy is just so-so." He was beaten away by Gaara. That shouldn't be the case. He seems to be anxious to find some companions, so he doesn't want to fight with us. Temari guessed. And judging from his appearance, his companion seemed to be in danger, otherwise he wouldn't be so anxious. Kankuro was slightly surprised, with that man around, who would let his companion be in danger. Who knows, maybe they got separated by accident, or maybe someone more powerful took action. Temari said. A stronger person. The one who is stronger than that guy must be the Kage, right? Can a Kage appear in this Chunin exam? Kankuro complained. It's the first time in history that a Kage-level person appears in a small Chunin exam. Gone, Gaara said coldly, turning and heading towards the central tower. Gaara was too lazy to think about why Sasuke ran away. He just felt a little regretful that he couldn't kill Sasuke here. But since Sasuke escaped, he could only endure it a little longer. Sooner or later, he would let Sasuke's flesh and blood merge with his own sand. Sasuke went around the original route to look for Yagyu, but during the time he was delayed, Yagyu happened to meet Karen and went to the location of the Kusagaku ninja. This also made Sasuke walk around 3 times without meeting Yagyu. Where did the person go? Sasuke frowned slightly. With his understanding of Moonlight Yagyu, even if he was not as good as the Kusagaku ninja, he should not be defeated so easily. After all, that was a man stronger than himself. Even if he didn't run away, there should be a lot of traces of battle. But flying all the way, he only saw some very sloppy traces of battle. It is impossible for the traces of a group of genin to be left by the Yagyu. That guy from the Kusagaku village would definitely not be just like this. Just when Sasuke was puzzled, he suddenly saw a familiar figure shuttling through the jungle. Moonlight Yagyu. Sasuke immediately controlled the summoning beast to chase in the direction where the figure left. But it didn't take long before he lost his trace. The figure passed through a patch of grass and disappeared. Sasuke sat on the eagle's back, frowning slightly. He always felt that something was wrong. The two Magatama Sharingan rotated in the pupil. Although the Sharingan could not penetrate objects, Sasuke still found some problems through some details. This is a trap. Thinking that he might have been fooled, Sasuke stood on the back of the summoning beast and made seals with his hands. Fire escape. Great Dragon Fire Technique. A huge fire dragon pounced on the bush where Moonlight Yagyu disappeared. In just a moment, the bush was completely burned, and explosions came one after another. However, the explosion sound did not come from Sasuke's ninjutsu, but from the detonating trap hidden in the bush. Someone wanted to trick Sasuke into it and blow him up. Whoosh! The moment the trap was destroyed, a figure suddenly flashed from the bushes on the left. That bald man. Sasuke didn't expect that he let him go, but this man dared to come and die. I didn't want to bother with you, but you're looking for death, so you can't blame me. Sasuke's tone was cold. He didn't know how the other party guessed that he was looking for Gecko Yagyu, but since he dared to play tricks on him and waste his time at this time, he had to die. Fire escape. Prisoner of fire. Sasuke used the fire escape ninjutsu he developed to surround the fleeing bald man, and then jumped down from the back of the summoning beast to a place not far in front of the bald man. You succeeded in irritating me, Sasuke said coldly. No, this is a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. The bald man's voice was trembling, and cold sweat was pouring down his face. He shook his hands constantly, completely forgetting the grief and anger of his companion's death. Sasuke was too lazy to listen to his nonsense, and drew his sword to kill the bald man. Sasuke instantly came in front of the bald man and slashed with a knife. Just as the knife was about to hit the bald man's body, a figure wrapped in black cloth suddenly appeared behind Sasuke. Black escape. Missed kill. This man was silent and extremely fast. Even if Sasuke had the reaction speed of a Jonin, he was still unable to completely avoid his sneak attack. His arm was cut by the opponent. What was even more strange was that Sasuke's wound did not bleed, but black mist. Sasuke didn't know what this was, but at this moment he felt that the chakra in his body was constantly draining away. This man's moves were a bit weird. Amagiri, if you had acted a little later, I would have died. The bald man breathed a sigh of relief and said. When attacking Sasuke not long ago, Amagiri went alone. So the only ones who attacked Sasuke were the bald man and Jia. This time, the bald man found the strongest of the three of them, Amagiri, and came back for revenge. There is no other way. The one we are facing is the famous Uchiha. We must not be careless. Tien Wu Luo smiled grimly, looked at Uchiha Sasuke and said, Haha, Uchiha Sasuke, you didn't expect that. That clumsy trap was just a part to lure you down, and the bald man was another trap to let you relax your vigilance. It's a pity that I couldn't kill you with one blow, otherwise I would have become famous. But it's not a big problem. You were hit by my black mist, and you will lose all your chakra and die in less than 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Sasuke felt the speed of chakra loss in his body, and it would take at least 30 minutes for them to be completely lost. This guy seemed to be too confident in his ability. However, although it was not as fast as this guy said, if a few more holes were made, the speed of chakra loss would not be acceptable to Sasuke. So Sasuke didn't plan to play with them anymore. He was injured by carelessness, but the strength of the two was just so-so. The bald man's fire escape ninjutsu was controlled at the level of Chunin, and Tianwu Luo's speed and unique ninjutsu made him threatening to Jonin, but he had not yet reached the strength of Jonin. This guy's shortcomings were too obvious. The first point was that his body was too thin, and he only had speed and agility all over his body. His defense and strength were not as good as those of ordinary genin. Look. Sasuke clenched the knife in his hand, and at full speed, he appeared in front of the bald man in an instant. This guy was weaker and slower, and he had no time to react before Sasuke chopped off his head. Amagiri was still smug in the last second, and the next second he saw his companion's head chopped off, and he was stunned for a moment. However, when he saw Sasuke disappear on the spot again, he knew that he couldn't be stupid anymore, and immediately used the black escape to escape from the spot. It must be said that the Amagiri man who used the black escape was even faster, and even Sasuke couldn't easily attack him using the instant body technique. However, Amagiri only lasted for 30 seconds in this state before he withered. His physical strength simply couldn't support him to persist in using this high-burst ninjutsu for too long. The short burst of 30 seconds of speed comparable to that of a Jonin was already the limit of his body. I was wrong, Sasuke. Let me go. I'll give you the scroll. Yours is the scroll of heaven, right? Mine is the scroll of earth, and you can just use this scroll to pass the exam. Sasuke had a blank expression on his face, and was obviously not moved by his words. He put the knife on his neck and said lightly, "Why did you want to turn into Gecko Yagyu to deceive me just now? We guessed that, from your look, anyone would know that you were looking for a companion. So we chose to transform into Gecko Yagyu to deceive you." In fact, they were not familiar with Haruno Sakura, so they could only choose to transform into Gecko Yagyu. Gecko Yagyu performed amazingly throughout the entire exam, and they paid a lot of attention to her, so they were familiar with the transformation. However, they are only slightly similar in appearance, and if you look closely, you can still tell the difference. Sasuke was a little disappointed to get this answer, and he killed the Holy Void ninja who used Black Escape with a knife. He thought that the two had seen Gecko Yagyu, so they chose to transform into Gecko Yagyu to deceive himself. Unexpectedly, it was just a farce. Picking up the scroll of earth and jumping onto the back of the summoning beast, Sasuke set off again. But this time he did not encounter any obstacles, and did not search for too long. Because Gecko Yagyu found him first. On the other side of the Forest of Death, as Sasuke entered Karen's perception range, she suddenly stopped. "Yagyu-kun, I seem to have sensed the location of your other companion." Because Karen had paid much attention to Yagyu long before this, when she found Sasuke, she knew at the first moment that he was Yagyu's companion. Another companion. Yagyu was a little surprised. He thought Sasuke would go directly to meet Sakura and the others after escaping from Orochimaru. He didn't expect him to be wandering around alone. "Are you lost? You are Sasuke, not Zoro." Yagyu couldn't figure it out, so he was too lazy to think about it, and simply let Karen lead the way to find Sasuke first. After a while, he saw Uchiha Sasuke riding an eagle and looking around. He raised his hand and threw a fireball at Sasuke. Such an obvious and slow ninjutsu, Sasuke discovered it in an instant. He killed it with a knife, and then prepared to use a fire escape to send warmth to the person who attacked him. But he saw the face of Gecko Yagyu just after he made a seal. But Gecko Yagyu was not alone, and there was a red-haired girl beside him. Such a combination made Sasuke frown slightly. "Still want to deceive me?" Thunder escape. Chidori sharp spear. Giving up the gentle fire escape, Sasuke chose to change his moves and use a faster, stronger and more cruel move to send this fake Yagyu to the west. Yagyu was originally going to use a small fireball to call Sasuke down to ask about something, but who knew that Sasuke would throw a big move at him after seeing him, and was speechless for a while. Looking at the Thunderbird gun falling from the sky, Yagyu raised his hand and also used a Chidori sharp spear. The two Chidori spears collided in midair, making an explosion like lightning and thunder. Chidori sharp spear. Sasuke saw Yagyu use the ninjutsu that only the two of them knew, and then he was sure that he had found the real person. So he jumped directly from the back of the summoned beast. "What, were you tricked just now? Just saw me and fired a Chidori sharp lance." Yagyu didn't know what happened to Sasuke during this period, but he guessed something from Sasuke's behavior. Sure enough, Sasuke nodded and responded to Yagyu's guess. "So you are looking for me. Why don't you go directly to Sakura and the others?" Yagyu asked with some confusion. Sasuke told Yagyu what happened after he found Sakura, and then he realized that he was worried that he would be killed by Orochimaru. Yagyu couldn't help but roll his eyes. "Don't worry, I have already beaten that guy out of the Death Forest. We won't meet him again in a short time. Orochimaru should have exposed his whereabouts now, and many Anbu ninjas have entered the Death Forest. It will not be so easy for Orochimaru to escape if he stays here." Hearing that Yagyu beat Orochimaru away, Sasuke was shocked. He thought that to deal with the guy from Kusagakure village, they would need both of them to deal with it together. Who knew that Yagyu could win alone? Doesn't that mean that the gap between him and Yagyu is not just a little bit? "How strong are you now?" Sasuke couldn't help but ask. "Well, I'm only a little bit stronger than that guy." Lu Sheng said after a pause. Chapter 91. Sasuke really wanted Yagyu to fight him with all his strength, but he thought that he had been suppressed in the battle with Orochimaru. Wouldn't he be killed instantly when fighting Yagyu? This kind of battle was not what Sasuke wanted. He wanted a battle of equal strength, at least he had to have a certain resistance. Instead of being crushed and killed instantly. This is Karen. Follow us. Please take care of me. Sasuke glanced at Karen and nodded in response. He was not interested in the weak, and this Karen didn't look like a very good fighter. Although Karen is not good at fighting, she has a good ability to detect and can also help people heal injuries and restore chakra. I can find you because of Karen's ability. Oh, after hearing about Karen's ability, Sasuke finally paid some attention to this girl. It would be okay if this girl could replace Sakura. Sasuke thought. Although Sakura had learned the Rasengan and some swordsmanship, Sasuke still did not take her overall strength seriously. She was also an insignificant existence in the team. If he could choose, Sasuke would be very willing to replace Sakura with Karen. After a brief acquaintance, the three of them headed towards where Sakura and the others were staying. Because Sasuke's summoning beast was not big and could only carry 2 people at most, they could only travel on foot. When they found Sakura and the others, it was almost dusk. Sigh, I don't know how Yagyu-kun is doing. Sakura sighed. Yes, if Yagyu-kun gets hurt, I will definitely teach that guy from Kusagaku a lesson. Ino said viciously. Don't worry, there are not many people in this world who can beat Lord Yagyu. Puck was not worried at all. With his understanding of Yagyu's strength, even if the guy from Kusagaku village was very powerful, he was just like what Yagyu gave him. The 2 people's strength was similar. As long as Yagyu was not careless, it would be impossible for the other party to keep Yagyu. Shikamaru was not too worried about Yagyu and Sasuke, but as the sky gradually darkened, he also silently hoped to see the 2 of them sooner. As for Choji, he was still thinking about when to have his next meal. The little food they had just had was shared by 4 people and a dog, so he wasn't full at all. Yo, are you thinking about me? When the 4 people and the dog were thinking about it, Yagyu and Sasuke suddenly appeared. Ino and Sakura heard Yagyu's voice and were about to stand up happily, but they saw a woman next to Yagyu. Hello everyone, my name is Karen. Karen's appearance reduced the joy of Ino and Sakura to see Yagyu. So much so that when Yagyu explained why he had disappeared for so long, the 2 of them were a little distracted. You're amazing. That guy is so powerful but he's no match for you. Choji muttered. Thinking of how he and Shikamaru were chased by 2 summoned beasts casually by the other party and fled in a panic, Choji felt that the gap between people was too big. By the way, what's going on with this Karen? I think she seems to be. Is he a ninja from Kusagaku village? Shikamaru asked curiously. That's right. Why did you bring someone from Kusagaku village back with you, Yagyu-kun? Don't be fooled, that guy from Kusagaku village almost killed Shikamaru and Choji. If Sakura and I hadn't arrived. I think you have misunderstood. Karen's story is different from what you think. Yagyu spent some time explaining Karen's life experience. If Karen wants to settle down in Konoha, she needs some people to testify together. Otherwise, it will be difficult to gain the trust of others if she suddenly digs a ninja from Kusagaku village. Of course, if Konoha really can't accept Karen, then at worst, Karen can just stop being a Konoha ninja. Anyway, as long as Karen follows him, it's fine. You can find out these things by just asking around in Kusagaku village. I don't think you need to doubt her too much. I will take her to see the 3rd generation when the time comes. Yagyu added, then took out a scroll of earth, and said, compared to this, I think we should consider passing this exam first. I got a scroll of earth from a ninja in Kusagaku village, which is enough for one of our teams to pass the exam. Then we only need to get 1 more scroll and we can pass the exam together. Ino said happily. I have another one here. Before they could be happy for long, Sasuke also took out a scroll of earth from his body and said, I have another one here. No one expected that Sasuke would suddenly have 1 more. The sudden double happiness made several people speechless. Is this the feeling of winning without doing anything? It's so good to be teammates with Yagyu and Sasuke. Ino and the other 2 thought with envy. After getting the scroll, the group of 7 did not plan to delay any longer. After eating the big bear brought back by Yagyu, they went to the central tower together. Not long after nightfall, they arrived at the central tower. When they handed in the 2 scrolls, they officially passed the test. The second exam lasted for 5 days, but Yagyu and his team passed the test on the first day. But even so, they were not the first team to pass the test. The first team to pass the test was Gaara's team from the Sand Village. In fact, if it weren't for Orochimaru's matter, Yagyu and his team would not necessarily be slower than Gaara and his team. However, Yagyu and his team did not care about passing the exam earlier or later. For them, as long as he can pass the exam, nothing else matters. In the Hokage building, many things happened in the past 2 days, making Sarutobi Hiruzen a little busy. One is that Gekko Yagyu innocently killed Toss, a candidate from the hidden Odo village, before the exam, which made him feel difficult when he originally planned to unite with the hidden Odo village. The hidden Odo village participated in the Chunin exam held by Konoha for the first time. Although they are just a small ninja village, it is also a good signal for Konoha. Now because of Gekko Yagyu, he has to consider how to get the forgiveness of the hidden Odo village cage and continue to cooperate. The second one was that 3 ninjas from the hidden Odo village died outside the examination room in today's exam. There would have been deaths in the second exam. As long as the news was blocked, it would not affect the relationship between Konoha and the hidden Odo village. But what made him feel difficult was that 3 unknown people sneaked into the examination room, and according to Hongdu's guess, one of these 3 people might be Orochimaru, his disciple that he loved and hated. Orochimaru, what are you doing here? Sarutobi Hiruzen murmured in a low voice, holding a pipe in his mouth, looking at the night of Konoha and falling into deep thought. Whoosh, a masked Anbu suddenly appeared in the Hokage's office. Sir, Gekko Yagyu and the others have passed the second exam. You've only just passed it in this long. Sarutobi Hiruzen's voice was low, and he seemed not very satisfied with the speed at which Yagyu and the others passed the level. The third generation master, Shikamaru's team also passed the exam. They passed the exam almost at the same time as Gekko Yagyu and the others. Oh, Shikamaru's team, Sarutobi Hiruzen thought. I remember that Yamanaka Ino and Yagyu have a good relationship, right? Yes, 3 generations. That's not surprising, that's not surprising. The news that Gaara's team from Sand Village took the exam in the morning and passed the test in the afternoon has been transmitted to the Hokage's office for several hours. Yagyu and his team were so much slower than Gaara and his team, and no matter what, they could not satisfy Sarutobi Hiruzen. After all, Gekko Yagyu's strength is above Kakashi. Can an elite Jonin leading a team be surpassed by a genin from Sand Village? Unless there are special reasons, Sarutobi Hiruzen should consider his preferential treatment of Gekko Yagyu. Only valuable people can be treated preferentially, otherwise they can only be discarded. Just like this Chunin exam, Gekko Yagyu not only received preferential treatment from the invigilating Jonin, but also indulged him to do whatever he wanted in the examination room. All this is based on the value of Gekko Yagyu. Because Gekko Yagyu is valuable, Sarutobi Hiruzen can give up some of Konoha's interests for Gekko Yagyu and protect him in front of the Sound Village. It is also because Gekko Yagyu is valuable that he will pay so much attention to Gekko Yagyu's growth. Otherwise, when a random genin passes the exam, such a thing would not be paid attention to by the cage of his village. This guy not only has to pass the exam himself, but also has to help others pass the exam. If there was no ranking for this exam, his first place would have been taken away by someone else. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked like he was disappointed with his son, but there was a slight smile on his face. He was looking forward to a talented Gekko Yagyu, and a Gekko Yagyu who had a bond with Konoha and knew how to dedicate himself to Konoha. As long as Gekko Yagyu had a bond with Konoha, he would not be able to abandon Konoha and would naturally become a tool of the village. There is one more thing, mister. What's the matter? Gekko Yagyu took in a ninja from the hidden grass village, and he hopes you can keep her. Quote? What kind of Kusagaker ninja is this? Going against a village and snatching people away. In the past, Sarutobi Hiruzen would never do such a thing. But this person is the one that Gekko Yagyu wants to protect, so Sarutobi Hiruzen is going to consider it. Maybe this person is different. But thinking back to the many things that happened in the past 2 days, they are all related to the Kusagakur village. Is something going to happen in the Kusagakur village? Orochimaru has set his sights on the Kusagakur village. Without giving Sarutobi Hiruzen more time to think, the Anbu ninja said, a red-haired girl who doesn't seem to have much combat power. The other subordinates don't know either. But Gekko Yagayu said she is from the Uzumaki clan. The Uzumaki clan. This word made Sarutobi Hiruzen interrupt the Anbu. Are you sure? Are you sure it's the Uzumaki clan? Well, I am sure. Come on, take me to see her. Go meet Gekko Yagayu. Why did the Whirlpool country be destroyed? Wasn't it because the Uzumaki clan's innate bloodline was too buggy? Everyone was afraid of the Uzumaki clan's continued strength, so they destroyed the country together. Although Konoha did not take action openly, when the Whirlpool country was besieged by other countries, Konoha, as an ally, did not provide assistance, which shows that Konoha was also very afraid of the power of the Uzumaki clan. Especially after the death of the first Hokage, Konoha's strength was no longer enough to pose a threat to the other 4 major countries. If the Uzumaki clan was allowed to become stronger, who knows whether the Whirlpool country will take action against their ally. People are selfish animals, and there will always be only interests between countries. The first Hokage was there. At that time, they were not afraid of the strength of the Whirlpool country, because no matter how powerful the Whirlpool country is, it will not be stronger than the first Hokage. After the death of the first Hokage, everyone is afraid of the power of the Whirlpool country. Of course, everyone wants to obtain the power of the Whirlpool country, so there are things like each village accepting the orphans of the Uzumaki clan. Back then, Konoha accepted Uzumaki Kushina in order to create a Jinchuriki weapon. Now Kushina is dead, and only Uzumaki Naruto is left. Then Uzumaki Naruto became the only choice for Konoha's Jinchuriki weapon. But if Uzumaki Naruto dies one day, who will continue to be this Jinchuriki? Because there is no alternative, Sarutobi Hiruzen will take many so-called protection measures for Uzumaki Naruto. Hiding his identity, the Anbu will monitor him 24 hours a day. Now Gekko Yagayu told him that an orphan of the Uzumaki clan was planning to join Konoha, and Sarutobi Hiruzen was so happy. Although the orphan of the Uzumaki clan was not needed for the time being, having a backup and not having a backup were 2 different things. Just like the existence of the Jinchuriki, although everyone was reluctant to use the power of the Jinchuriki, a village with a Jinchuriki and a village without a Jinchuriki were 2 different things. Apart from the cage of a village, the top fighting force in Konoha was the Jinchuriki. To a certain extent, a Jinchuriki could even replace several cage-level fighting forces. You have to know how difficult it is to cultivate a cage-level fighting force. Konoha has only cultivated a number of cage-level fighting forces that can be counted on one hand over the years. But the Jinchuriki can fix the cage-level fighting force. What a terrifying and desirable power. Because he couldn't wait to see Karen, Sarutobi Hiruzen even used the instant body flickering technique to shuttle through the night sky of Konoha with the Anbu. It has been many years since I have been like this. I remember that the last time I was so tired was when I was eradicating Danzo's supporters. That person seemed to be his most proud disciple, Orochimaru. In the Forest of Death, the 3rd Hokage, who was supposed to appear here in 4 days, suddenly arrived, and many ninjas who stayed here to supervise the exam were flattered. Mr. Sandai. As the main invigilator of this exam, Mitarashi Anko stood at the front of all the invigilating ninjas. Red Bean, is there any news about Orochimaru? Mitarashi Red Bean's face showed resentment, and then she said with difficulty, there is no accurate information at present. We searched the Death Forest and only found some corpses of the Dragon Cave spirit beasts. Oh, you haven't met Orochimaru, then who fought with Orochimaru? Sarutobi Hiruzen found something wrong, and even forgot about his urgency to meet Karen. Mitarashi Anko shook her head. According to reports from all the invigilating ninjas, no outsiders have entered the Death Forest during this period of time. The only non-examination personnel in the Death Forest should be Orochimaru and his 2 subordinates. If we rule out the possibility that Orochimaru and his subordinates fought, the only one who could have fought Orochimaru would be the examinee. Did any examinee get killed? Asked Sandai. No bodies of candidates were found at the scene, and examiners occasionally saw bodies of candidates in other places. But this exam was bound to have casualties, and candidates would kill each other. Even if a candidate was killed, we don't know whether it was Orochimaru who did it or the candidate who killed him. Anko Mitarashi replied. Seeing the solemn expression on the Sandame's face, Mitarashi Anko asked tentatively, do we need to suspend the Chunin exam? No, Sarutobi Hiruzen rejected it sharply, I will continue to send more Anbu into the forest of death. The Chunin exam cannot be suspended. There are many things involved in this Chunin exam. Even if we suspend the exam, the daimyo and nobles would not agree. Yes, although there are 2 Chunin exams a year, the significance of each Chunin exam is not the same. This time, not only will many nobles participate in the Chunin exam, but even the 4th cage of the Sand Village will come. If the exam is suspended because of a mere Konoha traitor, wouldn't it make Konoha look incompetent? At that time, not only will the people of the Sand Village look down on Konoha, but the daimyo may also reduce Konoha's expenses. He can't sit firmly as the cage. The daimyo is not without candidates for the cage. I remember Gecko Yagyu passed the exam, right? Hongdu, take me to see him. Please follow me. Currently, only Red Bean and the Anbu know that Gecko Yagyu has taken in the ninjas of the Kusagaku village. There are many other Chunins invigilating here. Sarutobi Hiruzen does not want to spread the news that Konoha has taken in the orphans of the Uzumaki clan. He hopes that Karen is a hidden card for Konoha. Because the second round of the Chunin exam will take 5 days, all candidates are not allowed to leave the forest of death before the results come out. Even candidates who have passed the exam are the same. Candidates like Yagyu and Gaara are usually assigned a room and live in it until the results come out. Now Yagyu's team is in one of the rooms in the central tower. 404. Knock knock knock. Sarutobi Hiruzen politely knocked on Yagyu's door before saying, Yagyu, can I come in? Whose voice is this? Looks familiar. An old man, and a genin candidate this old. Do you think it is possible that this is the voice of the 3rd generation? Quote. Listening to the hustle and bustle inside, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Mitarashi Anko were speechless. Isn't this a single room? Why are there so many people talking? And, is it true that no one can recognize the voice of a 3rd generation grandfather who issues tasks to you every day? Ahem, I'm the Sandame Hokage. Yagyu, are you busy now? If you are busy, I can come back later. As soon as the voice fell, the door was opened. A cold face appeared in front of the two. Come in, Sasuke said coldly. Forehead, thank you. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't know what to say for a moment, so he could only squeeze in with Red Bean. Before entering, he never thought that this small single room could accommodate so many people. Gecko Yagyu, Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, Yamanaka Ino, Karen, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Mitarashi Red Bean. If Shikamaru and Choji weren't around, they would probably have to go outside and talk. This must be Karen, right? Sitting opposite each other, Sarutobi Hiruzen patiently observed Karen for a long time before speaking. During this waiting time, Karen was very uncomfortable. She was afraid that she would be rejected by Sarutobi Hiruzen, but fortunately, the other party spoke in a kind tone. Yes, it's me. Are your parents still alive? Karen lowered her head with a gloomy look in her eyes. I have never seen my father. I only remember that my mother took me to hide in various places and finally settled down in Kusagaku village. Who is your mother? Her name is Uzumaki Miro. In fact, Karen should also have the surname Uzumaki, but Karen's mother had been hiding from place to place since she was a child, and even Karen's birth was just an accident. In order to prevent Karen from being the same as herself, Uzumaki Miro did not choose a surname for Karen. Of course, all this was just her beautiful hope and it did not come true. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought for a while in his mind, and did not think of a person named Uzumaki Miro. It seems that this Uzumaki Miro is not a very famous person in the Uzumaki clan, and should be familiar with non-direct descendants. Do you mind if I ask you about your abilities? Of course, it's okay even if you don't want to tell me. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled with his eyes narrowed. He seemed kind and would not force anyone, but if Karen refused him, then the matter of Karen staying in Konoha would need to be discussed again. Even if for Karen's value, Sarutobi Hiruzen would not expel her, but Karen wanted to obtain a formal identity in Konoha and wanted to be free without supervision, which required Karen's sincerity. Karen did not know what was good for her, and told her about her ability to heal other people's injuries and restore other people's chakra. As for Kagura's ability of the mind's eye, Yagyu asked her not to tell anyone. Although the ability to heal others by biting the skin is very attractive, Konoha is not the hidden grass village, and Sarutobi Hiruzen is also a man of face, and will not use Karen as a tool. Sarutobi Hiruzen did not dare to do such a thing concerning the innocence of the female ninja, otherwise it would be a big blow to his reputation. Sarutobi Hiruzen has many shortcomings, but hypocrisy is a good point. At least he obsessed with this code of justice. As Yagyu expected, after knowing that Karen's ability is to let others heal their injuries, restore chakra and physical strength by biting themselves, he was a little disappointed. He hopes that Karen will master the sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan, and even more abilities so that she will be more valuable. It will also allow him to find a reason to transfer Karen away. If Sarutobi Hiruzen knew that Karen had the ability of Kagura's mind, he would definitely transfer Karen to his trusted class on the grounds that Karen is suitable for the reconnaissance class, and then use many things to let Karen join the Anbu. Only by joining the Anbu can Sarutobi Hiruzen have the feeling of a ninja. Otherwise, he always feels that his subordinates will be poached by others. Just like Orochimaru at the beginning. He wanted Orochimaru to follow him to join the Anbu before, but Orochimaru finally chose the route. If Orochimaru was his own person, what would it matter if he did some cruel experiments? It's a pity. After initially communicating with Karen for a while, Sarutobi Hiruzen proposed the idea of taking her away. Of course, Sarutobi Hiruzen still hypocritically gave two choices, but this time Karen did not choose to leave with Sarutobi Hiruzen, but chose to stay with Yagyu. This also made Sarutobi Hiruzen a little unhappy. But no matter how unhappy he was, Sarutobi Hiruzen would not show it. He still smiled and asked Yagyu to take good care of Karen, and he would be responsible for dealing with the things in Kusagakur village. In fact, it is not too difficult to deal with Kusagakur village. Anyway, Karen's two companions are dead. In the future, Karen just needs to hide her identity and live in Konoha. However, whenever something seems simple, there will often be more unknown difficulties. Outside the 404 door, a figure quietly left. Yagyu, did you encounter any tough enemies in the Forest of Death? After solving the problem of Karen, Sarutobi Hiruzen began to ask about Orochimaru. If Orochimaru had fought with the examinees in the Forest of Death without causing any casualties, then only Gecko Yagyu had that ability. Yagyu also knew what Sarutobi Hiruzen was asking, so he did not hide it and said, I encountered a ninja from the Kusagakur village who was very powerful. Sasuke was no match for him and was forced to evacuate. Sarutobi Hiruzen grasped two key pieces of information in this passage. The ninja from the Kusagakur village. And Sasuke fought with him and successfully evacuated. Oh, weren't you there when Sasuke was fighting him? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked. At that time, Sakura, Ino and I went to the other side, and Sasuke was only with Shikamaru and Choji. Yagyu replied. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded to Red Bean behind him, and Red Bean understood and left first, obviously going to find the two to testify. As the Kusagakur ninja, you fought with a companion of Karen? Sarutobi Hiruzen continued to ask. No, I killed two of Karen's companions, and that guy ran away. Looking at Yagyu saying terrible words expressionlessly, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't tell for a moment whether Yagyu had any ties to Konoha. Or was everything Yagyu did in Konoha just a disguise? And, killing this girl's companion and then inviting him to be his companion, is this really something a human could do? The most outrageous thing is that this girl named Karen agreed. Is it true that beauty can be invincible? Ahem, Yagyu, are you saying that you chased away the Kusagakur ninja who chased Sasuke away? Quote. So dull. Do you know who you might have chased away? Orochimaru, my favorite disciple. Does he know how to use snake-like spirit beasts? It's confirmed. The Kusagakur ninja who fought with Gecko Yagyu and Sasuke is the Orochimaru who sneaked in. I just didn't expect that Gecko Yagyu could actually beat Orochimaru away, and Uchiha Sasuke could also escape from Orochimaru's hands. Are the talents of these two teenagers really so terrible? Sarutobi Hiruzen began to worry whether he could control Gekko Yagyu and Uchiha Sasuke. If the strength of Gekko Yagyu and Uchiha Sasuke was only that of a Jonin, then he would not be too worried. But if Gekko Yagyu's strength reached the level of Kage, and his strength had reached the highest level of ninja at a young age, would he still be willing to be my subordinate? Sarutobi Hiruzen was worried about whether Gekko Yagyu would become the next Orochimaru. Uchiha Sasuke and Gekko Yagyu are too close. No, we must find a way to separate them after this Chunin exam. Single quote. The talents of Gekko Yagyu and Uchiha Sasuke make Sarutobi Hiruzen full of vigilance, and the relationship between the two also makes Sarutobi Hiruzen worried. Sarutobi Hiruzen is not afraid of Konoha's many geniuses, he is afraid of unstable geniuses. Geniuses that cannot be used by him. Geniuses beyond his control. Originally, Gekko Yagyu had the background of the Gekko clan, and with the guarantee of Gekko Himen, he was relieved to cultivate him. But now, Gekko Yagyu has been raised, and it is beyond my control. Even Orochimaru can't defeat his strength. Can such a Gekko Yagyu really be used by me? And Uchiha Sasuke, if one day Sasuke knows the truth about the extermination of the Uchiha clan, can he still be used by Konoha? Will Gekko Yagyu stand on the side of Uchiha Sasuke? The more Sarutobi Hiruzen thought about it, the more he felt that Gekko Yagyu and Uchiha Sasuke could not stay in the same team. He now deeply regretted not separating Uchiha Sasuke and Gekko Yagyu, but instead assigned the two to the same team. If he had thought of this earlier, the two might not have such a deep bond. Even if Uchiha Sasuke knew the truth in the future, he could have Gekko Yagyu check him. Now that the two are inseparable, I don't know if separating them will still work. If Senju Hashirama could work hand in hand with Uchiha Madara, what would happen to other ninja villages? How could there be a second ninja world war? The third ninja world war? Konoha would have unified the ninja world long ago. After confirming Orochimaru's movements, Sarutobi Hiruzen was not very happy, but left room 404 with a heavy heart. Back in the Hokage's office, he hadn't waited for Mitarashi Anko's report yet, but instead waited for an uninvited guest. Sarutobi, I heard that you are going to accept a girl from the Uzumaki clan in Kusagakur village. It would be a pity to leave such a person here as an ordinary ninja. Why not give her to my root? I will definitely train her to be a weapon to protect Konoha. The voice came before the person. Danzo's old and sinister words made Sarutobi Hiruzen feel uncomfortable all over. Danzo, where did you hear this news? There is no such thing at all. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't know where Danzo got this news from, but it was definitely not a legitimate method, so he just had to reject it. Liang, a root leader, didn't dare to do anything to his people. Hehe. Danzo walked into the Hokage's office, his bandaged arms and eyes made his old body look even sicker. You know whether this happened or not, Sarutobi. The Jinchuriki already has someone, and it is a waste to let this orphan of the Uzumaki clan stay in Konoha. I have some secret techniques to develop the abilities of the Uzumaki clan. As long as you hand her over to me. Enough, Danzo. Sarutobi Hiruzen shouted, interrupting Danzo and said, I hope you understand that before I abdicate, I am still the Hokage. I said no and it means no. If you dare to capture Konoha's ninjas at will, don't blame me for removing your leader. There was nothing more to say at this point, and Danzo could only snort coldly and turn away. Sarutobi, you will regret this. After leaving the Hokage's office, Danzo secretly clenched his fists. Hokage, you won't be one soon. I'll let you be proud for a while. Humph. Sarutobi Hiruzen did not take Danzo's threat seriously. He had said regret countless times, but in the power struggle, he always won. Only losers can win with words. Hokage-sama, Mitarashi Anko is back to report. Well, tell me, what do Shikamaru and Choji say? It's roughly the same as what Gekko Yagyu said, but they said Gekko Yagyu fought off alone. I don't think the Kusagakur ninja is credible. This is from Gekko Yagyu's narration. The two of them did not see it with their own eyes. Oh, didn't anyone else see it? According to Shikamaru and Choji, they had not seen Yagyu since they encountered the ninja from Kusagakur village, and it was Haruno Sakura and Ino who saved them later. Moreover, they said that Sasuke had never seen the battle between Gekko Yagyu and the Kusagakur village ninja with his own eyes. Sarutobi Hiruzen seemed to be thinking about something. He did not expect this to be the case. Was Gekko Yagyu just bragging? Mitarashi Anko was once abandoned by Orochimaru and hated him very much, but she also admired him, at least in terms of strength. So Anko did not believe that a boy who had just graduated from the ninja school could defeat someone she would never be able to defeat in her life. Moreover, there were indeed no eyewitnesses to all this. Although what Hongdu said was a possibility, Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't believe that Gekko Yagyu would brag and lie about such a thing. This was completely inconsistent with Gekko Yagyu's usual indifference to fame and fortune. But could Gekko Yagyu, who was usually indifferent to fame and fortune, be his disguise? Sarutobi Hiruzen became suspicious of Gekko Yagyu, and that suspicion would not stop. At this time, another Anbu appeared in the Hokage's office. This person wore a cat-faced mask, had long purple hair, and had a long sword on his back. Third generation, sir. Traces of Orochimaru were found in the back mountain of Konoha. Hearing this news, Mitarashi Anko said excitedly, "Third generation, sir. I think. Red Bean, you are no match for him." Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed. Although Mitarashi Red Bean was not a particularly outstanding jonin, she was a loyal jonin to him, and he didn't want Red Bean to die. "I have a way to die with him," Mitarashi Anko said with determination. Seeing Mitarashi Anko's determined eyes, Sarutobi Hiruzen agreed with helplessness. "Then you go, I'll let Shien." "No, Lord Hokage, I am enough alone." After saying this, Hongdu left in an instant. Even Shien had something to say but she didn't finish it. "Shien, do you have anything else to say?" "It's like this, third generation lord, there are traces of Orochimaru's battle in an abandoned training ground in the back mountain, and it was not too long ago. In addition, I also saw Konohamaru and Uzumaki Naruto." Uzumaki Naruto, Konohamaru. Could it be that Orochimaru's target is Jinchuriki? Sarutobi Hiruzen was shocked. "Have you seen the Anbu responsible for protecting Uzumaki Naruto?" "Where is Ebisu?" "Sir, we didn't see that Anbu, nor did we see Ebisu," said Shi Yan. Sarutobi Hiruzen could understand that Ebisu was gone, because his grandson was so naughty that Ebisu couldn't keep an eye on him. But the Anbu who was responsible for monitoring Uzumaki Naruto also disappeared. Was he killed by Orochimaru to protect Naruto? At this point, Sarutobi Hiruzen had to think so. Entering the Death Forest to attack the examinees, killing the Jinchuriki Guardian in the back mountain of Konoha. Orochimaru's original purpose might be the Jinchuriki. He knew the true identity of the Jinchuriki, and knew that Uzumaki Naruto should be of graduation age this year, so did he plan to imitate the masked man back then? Although it was far-fetched, this was the most likely reason for Orochimaru's invasion of Konoha at the moment. "Shien, how many Anbu are there around Uzumaki Naruto now?" "Except for me, everyone in our team is protecting Master Konohamaru and Uzumaki Naruto." "Call Konohamaru back, and also, call Shiranui Genma and his team, and let them be responsible for the safety of Uzumaki Naruto during the Chunin exams." Yes, Orochimaru didn't know that Sarutobi Hiruzen had lost a team of Jonin to the unattended Jinchuriki because of his battle with Gekko Yagyu in the back mountain. If he knew, he would definitely laugh at Sarutobi Hiruzen for being old and confused. On the streets of Konoha, Mitarashi Anko shuttled through the night, jumping over the roofs of houses. She was running towards the back mountain at a high speed, hoping to find Orochimaru there, and then return all the grievances and unfair treatment she had suffered because of him over the years. Suddenly, a dangerous breath rushed towards the running Anko. Sensing the danger, Anko stopped immediately, looking to the left front where the terrifying breath was. There was a familiar and unfamiliar existence there that made her feel familiar and strange. Orochimaru. Seeing Orochimaru, Red Bean rushed to Orochimaru at her fastest speed without saying anything. Hidden Snake Hand. A few poisonous snakes flew out of Mitarashi Red Bean's left hand and trapped Orochimaru. The next moment, she rushed forward and grabbed Orochimaru's 5 fingers with her 5 fingers, and formed a seal. Secret technique. 2 snakes kill each other. Red Bean was about to perform the secret technique of mutual destruction regardless of the consequences, but Orochimaru's joking voice came from behind. "Tisk tisk tisk, are you planning to commit suicide?" Anko. A snake-like head moved to the side of Anko's face, spitting out its tongue coldly. And the Orochimaru who Anko wanted to die with turned into mud. It was obviously just a clone. Are you holding a grudge against me for abandoning you? The suppression of the power level made Hongdu feel like a lump in her throat. She wanted to rebuke Orochimaru, but she found that the curse mark on her neck was slightly painful. You are already a special Jonin of Konoha, why are you still using the ninjutsu that I taught you? Can't bear to leave me. Stop talking nonsense. You are an S-rank traitor from Konoha. You and I have been enemies for a long time. Hee. Orochimaru gently stroked Hongdu's cheek. She didn't know if it was an illusion, but Hongdu vaguely saw some of the gentleness of her former instructor on his face. Then find a way to surpass me and prove that I was wrong to abandon you. Orochimaru chuckled and retracted his hand. His body gradually turned into mud and disappeared. Red Bean was left behind and punched the roof of passerby unwillingly. Who is it? Honey, there seems to be someone on the roof. That's impossible, right? It's late at night, is there a thief? Maybe a ninja on a mission happened to pass by. You know Konoha is holding the Chunin exams recently, and the ninja masters are very busy. Maybe it was an accident. Tomorrow I will go to the Hokage building to ask the Hokage. Look, husband, what are you looking at? Gold coins are bursting from the roof. Hongdu left a bag of money with a painful look on her face to appease the couple who were going to complain to her tomorrow. Because of her angry punch, she would not be able to eat meatballs for the next month. Alas, looking at the place where Orochimaru left, Hongdu staggered towards the Hokage's office. Because of the influence of the curse seal, she can hardly control her chakra now. She can only rely on her physical strength to walk back. If she had known earlier, she would have listened to the third Hokage and brought more people with her, so that maybe Orochimaru could have been kept. She wouldn't have to be like this now, making harsh words and finally going back to report like a stray dog. Thinking about it carefully, she was indeed a little too blindly confident. Since being abandoned by Orochimaru, her strength has never improved. The ninjutsu she mastered now was still taught to her by Orochimaru. It seems that she has been immersed in the fear of being betrayed and abandoned by her master and suspected by her companions all these years. You let me go and made me stronger, Orochimaru, what do you want to do? Did you abandon me because of my talent? When she thought about how weak she was back then, and how weak she is now, and how the teacher who abandoned her must be happy to see her again today, Mitarashi Anko felt uncomfortable all over. She secretly clenched her fists and covered the aching curse mark on her neck. Orochimaru, I will definitely kill you. The news that Mitarashi Anko encountered Orochimaru surprised Sarutobi Hiruzen. He thought Orochimaru had left long ago, but he didn't expect that he would go to see Mitarashi Anko alone. Could the two have some relationship? But looking at Mitarashi Anko's indignant expression, it doesn't seem fake. And if the two have any connection, they shouldn't act like this. Wouldn't it be better to just hide it secretly? Is Orochimaru still missing the old times? Sarutobi Hiruzen was thinking about how to make use of the bond between Orochimaru and Mitarashi Anko. 4 days passed in a flash, and there was no trace of Orochimaru in these 4 days. Seeing that the second exam was finally coming to an end, the invigilators breathed a sigh of relief. In previous years, this kind of task was extremely simple and easy. After all, they only needed to ensure that the genin did not leave the forest of death and that outsiders did not enter. Who would deliberately break into the venue of the Chunin exam? Hey, this time there really is one. And it's an S-class rebel. A legendary Konoha ninja with the strength of a cage. Because of Orochimaru's invasion, these invigilators have not slept well these days. Now the exams are coming to an end, and finally they can relax. On the examinee's side, Gecko Yagayu and others lay down in the central tower for 4 days. Time passed quietly by eating, drinking and sleeping every day. Of course, not everyone is as lazy as Gecko Yagayu. Haruno Sakura, Yamanaka Ino and Sasuke have all practiced intensively during these 4 days. Yagayu could understand that the self-disciplined Sasuke insisted on practicing. But he didn't understand why Sakura, Haruno and Yamanaka Ino suddenly worked so hard. But he didn't plan to explore. Everyone will have their own new pursuits at every stage of their life. This one day, Yagayu hopes to have a plain life, stay in a small place, have many wives and concubines, and be happy. Another day, Yagyu may hope to explore more, and travel around alone. No one can guarantee that his life will only have one pursuit and fight for it all his life. Even the self-disciplined Sasuke is the same. When his great revenge is avenged and everything is settled, will Sasuke still work hard to practice? Yagyu put a question mark, so until now he is unwilling to tell him the truth about the Uchiha clan extermination. Of course, this is also because Sasuke is not strong enough. He doesn't even have an S-level ninjutsu. Yes, his Sharingan only has 2 Magatama, and his Taijutsu is only at the level of a Jonin. He can't even do 3 ninjutsu, Taigen, and Genjutsu. How can he seek revenge? With a heart that wants revenge. Nowadays, not only does love have to be realistic, but revenge is also needed. In order for Sasuke not to die in his recklessness, Yagyu doesn't intend to let him know the truth too early for revenge. But now Sasuke's progress is indeed a bit slow, and he needs more experience. It's time to open the 3 Magatama. The center of the first floor of the central tower, where all the candidates who have passed this exam, the Jonin of each ninja village, the Invigilator Jonin and Chunin, and the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. There are 14 teams participating in the second round of the Chunin exam, with a total of 42 people, and 6 teams passing the exam, with a total of 18 people. The number of casualties in this exam is unknown. More than half of the people failed. It is indeed as Mitarashi Anko said, at least half of them must be eliminated. But unfortunately, there are still too many people who passed the exam. A month later, nobles and wealthy businessmen from various countries, as well as the daimyo of the Sand Village, came to watch the game. Those dignitaries don't have so much time to watch so many competitions, so they must temporarily add another elimination match before the 3rd exam. In a month, only 10 people can take part in the final Chunin exam, so we have to add another elimination match before that, which will be held in a ring. Eliminate the extra 8 people. Except for the 3rd generation's routine praise and encouragement of the candidates, there was not much nonsense about the rest. Mitarashi Anko stepped down, and the examiner of the 3rd exam, Gekko Hayate, became the examiner of this elimination match. There is only one ring. All candidates can choose to defend the ring or challenge the defender. If the defender successfully defends the ring once, he will advance to the finals. If he fails, he will be eliminated. If the challenger successfully defeats the defender once, he will advance to the finals. If he fails, the result will be determined later. This rule is relatively unfair to the defender, because the defender only has one chance, while the challenger can have more chances. But this also tells everyone a message: only the real strong can defend the ring. Those who lack confidence will stay under the ring and choose to challenge the weak to get the qualification to advance to the finals. Who wants to defend the ring now? Moonlight Gale asked calmly, looking at the 18 candidates below. Among the 18 candidates, 12 are from Konoha, 3 are from Sand Village, and 3 are from Rain Village. The 12 Konoha candidates are 9 members of the rookie team and the team where Hyuga Neji is. Surprisingly, Kabuto Yakushi and his team did not pass the second exam as in the original book. The 3 people from Sound Village were also unable to appear in this exam because of Moonlight Yagyu. This also led to the rules of this additional test being somewhat beyond Yagyu's expectations. Ring match. Yagyu stood at the front of the candidates, but he had no intention of being the first one to go up. If he went up, no one would challenge him. Even Gaara was the same. It was a bit boring to start the first round of the ring match without anyone challenging him. So he wanted to see if there were any unlucky people who went up first, and he would eliminate them. Yagyu had a sinister idea, while others were afraid of Gekko Yagyu's existence. Gaara wanted to be the first one to defend the ring, but was stopped by Temari. Gaara, that Gekko Yagyu didn't go up, so you can't go up. You must take part in the 3rd Chunin exam. According to the plan, after Gaara passes the Chunin exam, he will be received by the 2 Kage, and then Gaara will transform into a Jinchuriki to launch a sneak attack on Sarutobi Hiruzen. If the sneak attack is successful, there is a high probability that Sarutobi Hiruzen will be killed instantly and help Tsunagakure defeat Konoha. So no matter what, Gaara cannot be eliminated here, or use his full strength. Gaara stopped, turned his head and looked at Temari coldly, then said coldly, "Don't order me to do things next time, otherwise I don't know if I will kill you." Tamari had cold sweat on her forehead and apologized. Sorry, Gaara, this is the teacher's order. In the Sand Village, only Maki and Rasa can face the crazy Gaara. Gaara would listen to Tamari sometimes, but not all the time. It depends on Gaara's mood at the time. After all, it's not surprising that a monster who hasn't slept for many years would have any kind of emotions. Gaara finally listened to Tamari's words, retracted his steps, and returned to his original position. Yagayu noticed this scene and smiled slightly. He didn't want to block Gaara from going to the third exam. Gaara was the opponent he left for Sasuke from the beginning to the end, an opponent who could stimulate Sasuke's potential. So even if Gaara went up to defend the ring, he would not challenge him. Seeing that no one had stepped forward to defend the ring for a long time, Moonlight Gale impatiently urged, if no one steps forward to defend the ring. Before Moonlight Gale finished speaking, a man jumped onto the ring. This man was wearing a black hooded coat, with purple patterns painted on his face, and carrying something wrapped in bandages on his back. No one knew what was inside. Hey, there are 12 people from Konoha who passed the second exam, but no one dares to take the lead, so why not let me do it? Although only 3 people from our Sand Village passed the test, we didn't pass the exam by luck. Konkuro's implication was that although many people from Konoha passed the second round, it was not necessarily entirely due to strength, but luck. He was deliberately provoking Konoha's genin, and his eyes were even looking directly at Gecko Yagayu. He wanted to exchange 1-for-1 with Gecko Yagayu to give Gaara a chance to advance. Yagayu naturally saw through this despicable means at a glance. He would not be provoked by Konkuro. There were many people in Konoha who could deal with such a small character. I can pay it. Aren't you afraid that I will snipe Gaara? Then I won't go to the ring so early, I will give you more psychological pressure. Yagayu didn't bother to pay attention to Konkuro's provocation, but other people in Konoha couldn't just turn a blind eye. Among them, the ones with the biggest opinions were Inuzuka Kiba, Rock Lee, Haruno Sakura and Yamanaka Ino. Inuzuka Kiba. You are so arrogant, let me and Akamaru teach you a lesson. Rock Lee. Tiantian, just let me go up, this guy is too much. He actually said that we passed the exam by luck. Haruno Sakura. It's okay that he is arrogant in Konoha, but he is still so arrogant in the examination room. Ino. I am so mad. Shikamaru. Go and help me teach him a lesson. Shikamaru. Ah, a group of people in Konoha were clamoring, but the person who came on stage in the end was beyond everyone's expectations. When several people in Konoha were angry, a man stepped onto the ring silently. Hey, Shino. Everyone looked at Shino, who was the first to challenge, in amazement. This guy who usually doesn't like to talk and doesn't show his strength would actually be the first to go on stage. Shino-kun probably doesn't want to fight with his own people, so he came on stage early. Hinata explained to everyone for Shino, and everyone suddenly understood. A total of 10 people can pass this exam, and only one person can pass in one round. In other words, there are only 10 battles in total. Because no matter whether the challenger wins or the defender wins, they can get a promotion spot. The earlier you challenge, the priority you can choose your opponent. If you drag it to the end, then they can only fight with Konoha's own people. After all, there are only 6 people in the Sand Village and the Rain Village. Even if they all fail the exam, 2 of them will have to fight with their own people and be eliminated. Aburame Shino was very cold after she came on stage, without saying a word. Moonlight Gale couldn't wait any longer, and didn't give the 2 time to talk trash, and directly announced the rules. This competition is not allowed to cause any casualties. If one party admits defeat or falls to the ground but cannot lose the ability to fight, it will be considered a failure. Do both parties have any objections? No, they both said in unison. Then, let the competition begin. As soon as the voice fell, the 2 did not move. Both of them seemed to be observing each other's flaws, but this was just an appearance. Hidden under the appearance were the small movements of the 2 people quietly moving. Kanjiro slowly released the chakra line with his 10 fingers, and Aburame Shino controlled the insects to move towards Kanjiro silently. After a few seconds, Kanjiro, who was ready first, took the first step. He threw out the chakra line with one hand, and 5 kunai wrapped with poison flew towards Shino. Shino easily dodged it by stepping back, and raised his hand to throw a kunai towards Kanjiro. Kanjiro looked at the flying kunai and did something that no one expected. He didn't hide. Is this guy crazy? Everyone thought so, only Gaara looked calm and Temari sneered. Boom! The kunai pierced straight into Kankuro's body, making a dull sound. The voice is wrong, Hyuga Neji said calmly. What's wrong with the sound? Li Luok asked curiously. A kunai piercing a person's body shouldn't make this kind of sound. Instead, it sounds like wood being pierced. Tenten helped Neji explain. Wood? How can a human body be like wood? Lok Li was puzzled, but the next scene on the ring soon answered his doubts. The exaggerated Kankuro suddenly opened his mouth in an extremely exaggerated way, and several senbon came out of his mouth. Such a sudden attack, even if Shino reacted quickly, he couldn't dodge at all. Two senbon hit his shoulder. He quickly pulled them out, but saw a purple wound. It's actually poisonous, how despicable. Woof woof. Inuzuka Kiba felt sorry for his companion's injury, but he couldn't stop the fight. Because the ring match didn't say that poison couldn't be used. As long as you didn't kill the opponent, it didn't matter even if you spit out the tailed beast ball. After Shino found out that he was poisoned, he had no choice but to block the chakra in his arm to delay the spread of the poison. Anyway, his ninjutsu didn't require hand seals, he just had to wait for the insect to get close to the opponent. You see, let me tell you how important it is to carry the detoxification pills with you. If Shino had brought the detoxification pills with him at this time, the situation would have been reversed in an instant. Kankuro's sneak attack would have been ineffective. Yagayu pulled Sakura to show off to her how steady he was when he was doing the mission. Sakura nodded repeatedly, saying that she would learn as long as she lived. Haha, admit defeat. You have been poisoned by me. You will lose your fighting ability in less than 3 minutes. You will lose your fighting ability in 5 minutes. You will die. The voice came from the thing wrapped in bandages. No one expected that these puppeteers were so perverted that they would hide their bodies in bandages and let the puppets fight for them outside. He actually used such a sinister move. Many people wondered if they would be affected if they had not discovered Kanjuro's puppet manipulation technique in the first place. Most people thought they might be affected, but they did not think they would lose. Being good at puppet manipulation does not mean being strong. Wouldn't it be fine as long as Kanjuro is dealt with before the poison takes hold? Shino obviously thought so too, so even though he was sweating profusely, he tried his best to stay calm. Humph, are you still thinking about a comeback? In that case, I'll send you down sooner. Kankuro swapped with his puppet body, and skillfully grabbed the puppet crow with both hands and threw it towards Shino. The speed was as fast as a chunin running at full speed. The crow puppet flashed 6 shining knives and stabbed straight into Shino's chest. At this time, Shino was deeply affected by the poison, and his speed was not as fast as before. After dodging several times in a panic, he was injured again. The situation was one-sided, and it seemed that the winner had been decided. Suddenly, the crow stopped moving. Looking at the crow puppet that stopped moving for unknown reasons, Kanjiro pulled hard, but he staggered a few steps because of the excessive force. He raised his hands and saw that the chakra line in his hand was bitten off by the bugs at some point. Just as he was about to pull the line again to control the puppet, he suddenly saw that the puppet crow was crawling with bugs. In other words, as long as his line touched the puppet, it would be bitten off by the bugs. Now he had no way to control the puppet to fight. And what's worse is, now countless bugs began to crawl towards him in the entire ring. He didn't master other ninjutsu besides puppetry, which also caused him to use kunai and senbon in a panic to remove these bugs. But it was obviously a drop in the bucket. After a while, he was crawling all over his body with bugs and regretfully lost. The first ring match ended with the challenger winning, and Kanjiro was eliminated forever. The bugs controlled by Aburame Shino are called parasitic bugs, which live by sucking the host's chakra. The mother bugs of these bugs have been fostered in Aburame Shino since childhood, so they are very sensitive to chakra. As long as Shino transmits information to the parasite bugs through chakra, they can move, attack, and arrange formations according to Shino Aburame's intentions. These bugs are extremely small, and it is difficult to find them without careful observation. This is also the reason why Kankuro was defeated. Of course, this does not mean that Shino's bugs are invincible. These bugs do not have strong attack power or agile movement. Their advantages only lie in their number and small size, which makes it easy to sneak attack. If Shino's ability had been known earlier, these bugs would hardly pose a threat to any ninja. I really didn't expect this guy Shino would win. He usually doesn't show off his abilities, but in a fight he has such fighting power. He really deserves to be my teammate, ha 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 ha. Woof woof. Kiba Inuzuka was very happy that his teammate was the first to get a place in the third exam. A sense of superiority of, I know him, came to him spontaneously. In the Sand Village, Konkuro's failure made Temari look unhappy. Maki, who was watching the battle from a distance, also had a gloomy face. It's not that they can't accept Konkuro's failure. After all, Konkuro's strength is just at the level of Chunin, which is not considered powerful at all. But it is a little hard for them to accept losing to such an unknown person in Konoha. In the spectator seats, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded and praised Aburame Shino and Konkuro, and then urged the next match to start. He is busy with all kinds of things. If he didn't think that it was a bit wrong to have a temporary extra match, I can't believe the examinee, he ran away long ago. The second ring match didn't make people wait too long. Even without the urging of Moonlight Gale, someone went up. Hyuga Neji. He used to be confident in his own strength, but after meeting Yagyu and Sasuke, he suddenly felt inadequate. Although he believes in fate, when the fate of failure comes to him, he will struggle again. It's not about going against the will of heaven, but about following the will of heaven. His eyes were fixed on Yagyu and Sasuke, and it was obvious that his only target was these two people. Yagyu didn't expect Nechi to dare to challenge him, and a rare expression of appreciation for this person appeared in his eyes. Looking at Sasuke on the side, he knew that Sasuke also had ideas about Nechi. If he couldn't face Megara, then facing Nechi might put some pressure on Sasuke and help him break through the bottleneck. Sasuke didn't know much about Hyuga Nechi, but he also knew that this man was the top graduate of the previous class. So he had a desire to fight him in his heart, but he still preferred to fight with Gaara, because the pressure that Nechi gave him was not as great as that of Gaara. This man's strength is restrained, and he can't tell his depth. Sasuke refused to challenge Nechi on the ring, so only Yagyu was left. Seeing this, Yagyu also planned to show his face and let Nechi know the difference in strength. But he had just taken a step forward, and suddenly there was a pile of sand on the ring. The sand slowly piled up and rose, and a young man with the word, love, written on his forehead appeared on the ring. On stage, Gaara took the initiative to challenge Hyuga Neji. The completely unexpected opponent made Neji speechless. Although Gaara was very strong, Neji had no desire to fight him in this competition. Because he could not feel the breath of human beings on the opponent. From this point of view, Gaara was more dangerous than Yagyu and Sasuke. Because he seemed to be thinking about killing people all the time, and he would kill people as long as he couldn't control himself. Yagyu didn't expect Gaara to take the initiative to play. He thought that the masters would make the final move, but he didn't expect Gaara to be so impatient. But this may not be Gaara's own idea. Turning his head to look at Temari behind him, Temari at this time had a calm face, no longer worried before. "What's up, handsome guy?" Temari asked with a smile when she noticed that Yagyu was looking at her. Yagyu turned his head back expressionlessly. His calm eyes and handsome face made Temari's heart flutter. If they were not in two different camps, Temari would have thought of dating Yagyu. "What a pity," Temari murmured. On the ring, Neji and Gaara looked at each other indifferently, but both of them were people of few words, so they didn't say any trash talk. Moonlight Gale was very satisfied with this, and looked at the two juniors with admiration and said, "The rules have been stated once, I believe you all know. No killing is allowed, and surrender and fighting cannot be considered the end of the competition. The competition begins." As soon as the words fell, Gaara took the lead. Before he could move, countless sands rushed towards Neji. This is somewhat similar to the bugs of Aburame Shino, but the difference is that the sand is inanimate and there is no need to worry about being killed. Moreover, the sand is extremely fast, and it is difficult for ordinary people to dodge. But obviously this ordinary person does not include Neji. Everyone knows that Rock Lee is very fast, but how slow can Neji, who is using the main technique, be? Gaara's most basic sand attack could not even touch the corner of Neji's clothes, and he dodged it all. Of course, dodging is not the specialty of the Hyuga clan. The Hyuga clan is good at defense and counterattack. So after dodging several times and determining the strength of the sand, Neji began to use soft fists to counterattack. Chakra combined with the strength of the body, the interactive defense of light and heavy forces made Gaara's sand difficult to break. Secondary absolute defense. Block all attacks with absolutely skilled soft fists and the observation power of the white eyes. So awesome! The three people from the Hidden Rain village exclaimed in admiration as they watched the two people fighting on the field. Compared with the previous battle, this battle was completely on a different level. This was a battle between higher and stronger people. Are they really qualified to compete for the position of Chunin with such people? The three looked at each other with a look of bad luck. With luck, they finally got the scroll of heaven and earth, but the following chapters seemed to have nothing to do with them. Gaara saw that ordinary sand attacks were useless, so he opened one hand and pointed at Hyuga Neji, saying coldly, "Sand coffin." In an instant, countless sands emerged around Hyuga Neji, wrapping him up like a spiral. Ninki, seeing Neji trapped in the sand, Tenten and Rock Lee subconsciously tensed up. Gaara's face was cold and he closed his hands instantly. Sand waterfall funeral. The imagined scene of the enemy being crushed into minced meat by the sand did not appear. His sand seemed to be blocked by something and could not move forward at all. The next moment, all the sand exploded and flew out. Hyuga Neji turned like a spinning butterfly, and blue chakra shot out, which was very beautiful. This is Kaden. Sarutobi Hiruzen in the spectator booth showed a surprised expression. Today was the preliminaries, so the head of the Hyuga family did not come, otherwise he would definitely be shocked if he saw this scene. After all, Kaden is the secret of the Hyuga clan. Even the members of the clan dare not say that they can learn this technique in their lifetime. But Hyuga Neji actually learned this technique by himself with his own talent. What a pity! If Neji was born in the main family, he would definitely be much more talented than he is now. Sarutobi Hiruzen secretly felt sorry for Nechi, but he had other thoughts. The main family and the branch family of the Hyuga clan are clearly divided. Hyuga Neji, who was born in the branch family, is destined to not be able to enter the management of the Hyuga clan, which also means that he can be absorbed into the Anbu. Thinking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Nechi with more and more satisfaction. On the contrary, Gekko Yagayu, who he had always placed high hopes on, did not look so pleasing to the eye. Gekko Yagayu's overly powerful strength and eccentric personality made him feel difficult to control. If possible, he would very much like to exchange one Gekko Yagayu for 3 obedient Hyuga Neji. In the Sunagakur observation area, as Gaara's instructor, the senior ninja Maki was also knowledgeable and recognized the moves used by Hyuga Neji at a glance. Konoha is really full of talented people. At such a young age, he has mastered the secret of the Hyuga family's physical technique, Kaden. I just don't know if he is from the branch family or the main family. If he is from the main family, I'm afraid many people will be interested in his eyes. Maki is not worried that Ninki, who has mastered Kaden, will pose a threat to Gaara. Absolute defense. It's not the exclusive domain of the Hyuga family. Tenten and Rock Lee were relieved to see that Nechi was unharmed. Tenten. I knew that Nechi would not fail so easily. Rock Lee, Ninki, come on, beat this guy from the sand village. On the ring, after Ninki broke through the sand coffin, he appeared in front of Gaara in an instant. He struck out with a Bagua palm. Bang! A sand wall appeared out of thin air beside Gaara to block his palm. This is Gaara's absolute defense, the sand that can automatically protect its master without any reaction. However, this so-called absolute defense did not make Nechi feel difficult, but instead made him sneer with disdain. This level of sand can't stop my attack. Because of the different emphasis on physical skills, he is not as fast as Rock Lee, so he can't break through this so-called absolute defense from the speed of movement. But in terms of strength and attack speed, he will not lose to Rock Lee, who has opened the 8 gates. The sand can't stop his attack at all. Soft fist. Bagua 64 palms. Ninki kept speeding up his attack, so fast that afterimages appeared. Gaara's sand was constantly broken and repaired under Ninchi's continuous attack. Until the 16th palm, Ningqi's Byakugan found the flaw in the sand defense, and he quickly shot through the defense and hit Gaara's shoulder. Gaara flew out. Ningqi instantly rushed forward, got close to Gaara and kept hitting him. Bagua, 17 palms. Bagua, 18 palms. Bagua, 19 palms. 8 trigrams 36 palms. 8 trigrams 37 palms. Many people did not expect that Gaara would be suppressed one day. Among them, Temari and Kankuro were the most shocked. The younger brother they always had to fear was now suppressed by an unknown ninja from Konoha. Gaara would not lose, right? The two were shocked by the thoughts that appeared in their minds. If Gaara was really forced to transform into a tailed beast here, then their plan would be ruined. Thinking of this, both of them unconsciously clenched their fists, their hearts were tense, and they gritted their teeth hoping that Gaara would find an opportunity to turn the tables. But Gaara was not good at defense and counterattack, nor was he good at physical skills. He could easily crush ninjas and chunins because of the physical bonus given to him by the One Tail, and the sand that his mother turned into after her death. These factors made him have a strong affinity for sand, and he could easily control sand with chakra. It was equivalent to mastering the sand-style ninjutsu. Ordinary ninjas also mastered basic ninjutsu and physical skills. The average chunin has his own strengths, and has a certain understanding and mastery of his own attribute ninjutsu. Gaara's mastery of ninjutsu has long surpassed these two stages, so even an average jonin may not be Gaara's opponent. But this does not mean that he can easily defeat the jonin. Especially Hyuga Neji, who has made great achievements in physical skills. Facing Neji's continuous palm strikes, he can only use chakra to enhance his sand armor defense. 62 palms, 63 palms, 64 palms. Finally, Neji finished all the moves of the soft fist, and knocked Gaara dozens of meters away and landed heavily on the ground. Everyone held their breath and waited quietly for the result. After a long while, Gaara did not get up. Neji showed a confident smile and said lightly, "It's over." He turned his back and prepared to leave the ring. It seems that the next step is just to wait for the moonlight wind to confirm Gaara would lose his fighting ability. But something unexpected happened. Cracks began to appear on Gaara's body, and pieces of skin fell off. Gaara was exposed with scars all over his body. Gaara was panting and stood up with one hand supporting the ground. The sand armor did not help him block all the damage from Nechi's attack, and even his acupuncture points were blocked by Nechi's attack. This also caused him to be unable to use chakra to control the sand. I didn't expect you to be able to stand up. Give up, you are not my opponent. I have sealed all your chakra points. You can't control the sand now, right? Why keep struggling? Neji turned around and indifferently stated a fact to Gaara as a winner. Gaara had an indifferent face, covering his right hand with his left hand, and had no intention of surrendering. Seeing this, Neji was helpless all the way, and seemed to walk towards Gaara step by step pitifully. Everyone has his own destiny. It is extremely foolish to fight against destiny, so accept your own destiny. Gaara. As Neji got closer and closer to Gaara, everyone's hearts gradually became hanging. The people of Konoha were waiting for Neji to resolve the battle that had already ended, the people of Sand Village were waiting for Gaara to make a comeback, and the people of Rain Village were waiting for Neji to resolve the battle that had already ended. They are looking for who is weaker. If Neji wins this match, Konoha will win 2 games in a row. Should they choose the Konoha Genin, who is a crouching tiger, hidden dragon as their opponent, or the remaining Sand Village ninja as their opponent? The 3 Rain Village ninjas are very conflicted. It's over. Neji still walked up to Gaara and slapped him with his palm. At first, he was worried that Gaara might have other tricks up his sleeve. After all, the last Sand Village ninja had used puppets and poison, and this Gaara was also a Sand Village ninja, so he might know a little bit. So he was very careful. But when he walked up to Gaara safely, all his worries were put to rest. It's not that Gaara still has some tricks up his sleeve. He's still holding on because of his strong willpower, not because he has any means to fight back. So he wants to end the battle with his last palm. As long as his palm lands on Gaara, everything will be over. But just when his palm was a few centimeters away from Gaara, a wall of sand blocked him. What? Ningji didn't expect that Gaara, whose acupuncture points were sealed by him, could still use ninjutsu. He was about to wave his hand to disperse the sand, but the sand quickly followed his hand and wrapped around his body. Not good. Ningji sensed the danger and was about to use Kaden again to stop it. But Gaara seemed to have predicted his move, so he made the sand explode before he could use Kaden. Sandfall funeral. Gaara's cold voice sounded, and the sand that only clung to half of Neji's arm exploded directly. In an instant, sand and blood gushed out. Ah! Neji's scream of pain resounded throughout the entire central tower. His arm was broken. No, to be precise, his arm had completely disappeared. The sand incarnated by Gaara's mother swallowed up half of his arm, leaving nothing behind. But this was not the end. While Neji was still in pain, Gaara continued to control the sand and swallowed it towards Neji. If the sand attached to him, Neji's life would be gone. Fortunately, Neji's willpower was firm, and even the pain of a broken hand did not make him completely lose his composure. Looking at the flying sand, Neji forcibly used Kaden to block it. However, with only one hand, the Kaden he used was obviously not as good as before. Without one hand to emit chakra, Kaden had a flaw. In an attack, Gaara, after being blocked, he controlled the sand to attack Neji's weakness. Although Neji used Kaden to block and evade many times, his physical strength and chakra after a broken hand were not enough to support him to fight for a longer time. Finally, after more than 10 Kaden, he was caught by Gaara and broke through the absolute defense. Now Gaara can only control the sand incarnated by his mother, and he doesn't have much combat power, but Neji is not the Neji at that time. Even if the Byakugan caught the attack trajectory of the sand, it would be difficult for him to use the soft fist to disperse it. He threw out a soft fist with all his strength, but it only knocked away some sand. The subsequent sand still climbed up his right hand, trying to wrap him up. At this moment, Gecko Gale appeared in front of Neji in an instant and grabbed him away. The competition is over. Gaara from the Sand Village wins. At this point, anyone can see that Neji has no more power to resist. His physical strength and chakra can no longer support him to fight. If he insists, he will die. Ninki. After the competition, Tenten, Rock Lee, and Might Guy ran towards Nechi. They felt distressed when they saw Nechi, who had lost one hand and was already full of despair. The three tried their best to comfort Nechi, but Nechi seemed to be deaf and did not respond at all. Seeing this, they could only let Might Guy accompany Nechi to get treatment. Tenten and Rock Lee still needed to take the exam and could not leave first. Similarly, Gaara was also seriously injured and needed treatment. However, he did not lose his hands or feet, and his physical strength could still support him to walk off the stage. Many candidates looked at Gaara with a cold face, and they couldn't help but feel fear in their hearts. No one expected that Nechi, who had already occupied an absolute advantage, would be defeated because of a momentary carelessness, and they didn't expect that the genius of the Hyuga family would be defeated so miserably that even one of his arms disappeared forever. Ningji was careless, Inuzuka Kiba said with regret. Shikamaru nodded and agreed. No one expected that Gaara could continue to use ninjutsu after being acupunctured. Doesn't the sand require chakra control? No one can tell Shikamaru the answer. Yagayu may know, but he is too lazy to say it. If he is willing to say it, he must have reminded Neji before the battle. Neji would not lose his arm because of carelessness. But it is only that he will not lose his arm. It is still impossible for Neji to defeat Gaara. Gaara will cheat when he can't win and directly summon the One Tail to fight. What can Neji use to fight the One Tail? Even if the 8 diagrams palm is broken, it can't hurt Shukaku at all. But when it comes to this time, the Chunin exam may not be able to be held. As an ally of Konoha, they actually moved the village's nuclear weapons during the Chunin exam. What do you want to do? Fight. With Sarutobi Hiruzen's temperament, it is likely that he will summon a group of Jonin to stop Shukaku, wait for some Jonin, Chunin and Genin to die, and then negotiate with the 4th Kazekage Rasa of the Sand Village after everything calms down. Or a polite greeting, or give some benefits. In short, a chicken Mao, in a state of disgrace. He was clearly hurt, but he still had to be humble for the so-called alliance. No wonder Danzo looked down on Sarutobi Hiruzen. In the Hokage viewing area, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Hyuga Neji, who was leaving, with a look of pity. What a good seedling, how could one hand be lost in such a place? Isn't it just a chunin? If you join the Anbu, I will label you a chunin in a minute. But now that Neji has lost a hand, the blow of failure may not be as simple as making him lose his chunin identity. With Neji's pride and world outlook, this level of failure is enough to ruin his entire ninja career. Neji is different from Rock Lee. Rock Lee has always been a slacker, so he has always had his own beliefs and can accept his weakness and failure. Even if his body is disabled, he will not give up training to become stronger. But Neji is a genius since he was a child. From Gekko Yagayu to Uchiha Sasuke, and then to Gaara. He couldn't help but ask himself, am I still a genius? Or, can I still have the power of a genius after losing one hand? Without one hand, I can't perform a complete bagwazong, and I can't use the absolute defense to turn the tide. I lost the power I gained from practicing day and night, and I also lost the capital to become stronger. A useless person, do I still have a future? Gaara left the medical room after a simple treatment, but as soon as he walked out, he was greeted by a very fast foot. Puff! Rock Lee kicked the sand that Gaara had absolutely defended and scattered it. Wait for the third exam, I will definitely avenge Neji. Looking at Rock Lee's cold eyes, Gaara sneered and said, oh, you are not worthy to be my opponent. You should hope that you don't meet me in the third exam, otherwise you will not only lose a hand. You fool! Rock Lee turned around and kicked again, but he couldn't break Gaara's absolute defense without taking off his weight, so he could only let him leave calmly. You should be thankful that this is Konoha, otherwise you would have died, Ant. Gaara's cold and mocking voice resounded in Rock Lee's ears, making him want to open the 8 gates and fight him to the death. But the rules did not allow it, so he could only endure it. At this time, a very dramatic scene appeared on the ring of the central tower. Mango from the Hidden Rain village challenged his teammate Kagura, and then chose to admit defeat. Kagura took this opportunity to pass the second test and successfully entered the third test. Mango failed the challenge and entered the pending stage, but there is still a chance to challenge. These 3 guys actually did this, how abominable. While everyone was still immersed in the shock of Gaara and Neji's battle, the 3 guys from the Hidden Rain village actually found a loophole in the rules and sent one person in. It's simply eye-opening. There are only 10 places for the third exam. How can the guys from the Hidden Rain village pass without a real fight? I protest. How can they pass the exam like this? Inuzuka Kiba was the first to be dissatisfied and complained to the referee Gekko Hayate. But Gekko Hayate coughed a few times and glanced at Sarutobi Hiruzen. He found that Sarutobi Hiruzen just shook his head slightly, so he ignored it. This rule was originally set up to give those villages with fewer people passing a chance, so as not to wipe out their entire army. Of course, this rule is mainly set up for the Sand Village. After all, the 4th cage will come in a month. If there is no Sand Village ninja who reaches the third exam by then, what is there to watch? Are you going to see your Konoha Rising Star show his power? But Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't expect that the Sand Village didn't take advantage of this loophole in the rules, but let the people of the Rain Village use it. Cough cough. The protest is invalid, the competition continues, please ask the next candidate to come on stage. Seeing that the protest was invalid, the 3 people from the Hidden Rain Village breathed a sigh of relief. According to this rule, they can even let one more person pass the test. As long as no one takes the lead in challenging them while they are defending the ring, but now all the candidates in Konoha are staring at them. It is obviously unrealistic for them to copy this way of passing the level again. On the Konoha side, after the Hidden Rain Village passed the level through the loophole, some people in Konoha also discussed whether to use this method to pass the level. But the result is obvious, that is, no one is willing to give up the quota to pass the level. This is also why Shikamaru actually, the reason why this loophole was discovered early but not used. Because it is unfair to ask anyone to give up. Although you can still continue to challenge as a challenger if you give up, the number of places is limited. I cooperate with you and give you the place, will others give it to me? Even teammates may not be so generous, or take the place to pass the level without guilt. They are not like the Hidden Rain Village who have no choice. If the 3 people from the Hidden Rain Village were to challenge the 3 people from Konoha, it is likely that none of them would pass the level. In this way, it is better to use the loophole in the rules to send 1 or 2 people to the third exam. With the other people from Konoha watching, the people from the Hidden Rain village dared not move again. Tenten took the opportunity to stand on the stage. Originally, with her strength, she would choose a weaker person to challenge, but in order to avenge Neji, she chose to bravely stand up and challenge Temari, whose strength was unknown. The one from Sand Village, do you dare to come up and fight me? Tiantian's eyes were cold and angry. No one expected that the usually kind Tiantian would have such a bad temper one day. Hey, little girl, wasn't it the guy in green clothes who just shouted that he wanted to avenge the guy with the broken hand? Why didn't the boy stand up to take revenge? Is he afraid? I don't hit women, so Tiantian is challenging you on my behalf. Without waiting for Tiantian to respond, Rock Lee spoke first. Oh, you don't hit women. I didn't expect you to be such a gentleman even though you're wearing such strange clothes. It's a pity that you're not that strong. Well, you don't look that good either. I don't like your thick eyebrows. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. The sudden words reminded Rock Lee of the scene when he was rejected by Sakura. Don't like thick eyebrows. Don't like thick eyebrows. Do you need me to trim my eyebrows? Hey, I want revenge, can you respect me? Temari obviously didn't mean to respect them. She didn't even take Rock Lee and Tenten seriously. She threw the iron fan in her hand towards the ring and smashed it heavily into the ground of the ring. She caught the falling iron fan in an instant. She held the iron fan with one hand, revealing her snow-white long legs and proud figure. She said with a teasing look on her face, "Little sister, don't blame me for not letting you go. You make 3 moves first. If you don't defeat me in 3 moves, I will be serious." Who asked you to give in? Tiantian was very angry. She was serious about revenge, but the enemy didn't take her seriously. But if I attack seriously, you will be defeated in 1 move. In this case, won't your so-called revenge seem ridiculous? Temari's mouth curled up into a smile, with a playful look on her face. Tiantian couldn't bear it anymore, and finally chose to throw a few shurikens at Temari. However, the shurikens couldn't even touch Temari. A gust of wind blew, and all the shurikens missed. Tisk tisk, are you starting to get scared? Or is this your first time avenging your companions, so you're so nervous that you can't even throw your shuriken accurately? Temari's mouth is very poisonous. She used ninjutsu to dodge the attack, but she attributed the cause to the opponent's ability in order to attack the opponent's heart. From this, we can see that although Temari said that she didn't take Tenten seriously, she was still very serious about the battle between the two. Come on, Tenten, don't be disturbed by her words. Revenge for Neji. Tenten nodded, staring at Temari's still playful face. She felt more and more angry. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Tenten calculated the distance and ran faster. However, this running speed was much slower than Neji. If he hadn't been wearing a Konoha ninja forehead protector, he would have been mistaken for an ordinary person running. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.